There it is. What up, people? My name is Lewis Lee, and this is Planning Traffic. And we do this every Thursday night, as usual. We got the fellas in the house. We got a special guest, Robert, with a sweet rat rod. And here's Robert coming in right now. Hey, Robert. Can you hear us?
Well, we can see it. That's half the battle.
Move to your left.
Toward your car.
There you go. Move a little more. Right. His mic's off. Let's see.
Yeah, I'm not getting any volume on you guys.
Yes, we can hear you now. Can you hear us?
Yeah,
Robert. We can hear you. Turn your volume up on the phone. Can you hear us?
Any better?
Yep. That's good.
Oh,
I can't hear you guys at all.
You can't hear us.
Well,
that's not good.
I can't text him because he's on his phone.
Right.
Oh, wait. Maybe I'll show him here. All right. Where's my phone? Turn the volume up.
Yeah, I'm on the volume.
Testing.
And
yeah, I've got the volume button all the way up.
Why would he not hear us?
I don't know. Let's see. Mike.
That's an odd one.
Yeah, his mic's on. Let's see. Do you have headphones?
No, I don't.
No. There's a little stumper here. Can you hear us? Testing.
Brian thinks maybe his phone is turned on to speaker instead of regular listener receiver. But I don't see why that would stop him from hearing us.
Yeah.
If anything, that would give us a feedback, I think.
Right? I don't know. Well, this is Robert on the screen, and we're trying to work out some.
I'm glad to see my platform isn't the only one that has technical difficulties, like on the spur of the moment live. Because
right. Can you hear us now, Robert?
No, I can barely hear you, but I wouldn't be able. I'm really super close to the phone.
We can hear you good.
Yeah,
I wonder if your speakers are dirty on your phone.
Yeah, if you had headphones, that would probably help them.
Yeah,
because
it's funny.
You don't have earbuds
acting like that. Let me get off and see if I can get some earbuds.
Okay, sounds good.
That sounds good. I think that may do it. Yeah, depending on the phone speakers are not that great.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, any good things in the auto industry on your end?
Well, I got a couple pieces I'm going to talk about on Sunday. One was about theft rates, and the other one was about there's these digital license plates that are coming out with pixelated license plates in certain states. Up by Justin in Michigan is one of them. It sounds like an electronic plate, and it lets you put like messages on the bottom, and also they're expensive though. But and also when they expire, if you haven't renewed them, like your registration, it'll display a notice that says, null and void or whatever. So I'm thinking, for that kind of money, I mean, only somebody who's a real tech head would want something like that because, the article raised more questions than answers because even they said you could put messages on the banner, or messages could be put on the banner below. And I'm thinking, can the user put the messages on, or can they put messages on? So to
Yeah.
let the user do it, you can imagine what people are going to be putting on those banners.
Right. Right. Well,
And then
I
I
hope
think
it's
they
not.
answer.
I hope
What's
it's
that?
not connected to the system.
I think it is, because if they can display, like unavailable, or like your null and void, that means they can control it. So they could probably control that banner. But they didn't say
Yeah.
that in the article, and this stuff, it's expensive. So that's a new thing I never heard of before.
Yeah.
It's
I didn't hear about that either. That sounds like it's something that we don't want.
No, definitely not. It definitely not. And I think what they're doing is they're appealing to the techies, the people that want to have everything nice and new. And maybe a guy with a Tesla who has everything electric. Hey, I got an electric license plate too. They said the other thing is it can be tied to like a GPS tracker, so that like a low jack. This way, if your car's stolen, it can be found. But it also means if you don't want to be found, you can be found.
Yeah.
I look at things on both sides all the time, and
Yeah. Me too. That was the first thing I'm thinking.
yeah, me
You
too.
know,
Yeah,
you
and
know,
I'm
you
not
might be
hiding.
at you might be at the chicken wing place, and your wife want to know where you're at.
I'm not hiding from anybody, but that's the same. That's the same theory of like, now they know where you are and where you go, and so
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. We'll see if that has any legs. I don't know.
Yeah. I'll tell you. That don't sound good.
Yeah, I did kind of fell into a deal where I'll be picking up a dual Holly Sniper fuel injection setup for my.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a guy had it on his car, drove it 50 miles, didn't like it, took it off, put a single sniper on, drove it, didn't like that, and went to dual dominators on a tunnel ram. So
Wow.
he didn't drive it long enough for the system to learn, is what it is. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
So my buddy bought the single, and I said, hey, if the dual is up for sale, which it was, I ended up getting that for a good deal. So
Oh, nice.
now I got to do the switch over, the fuel pump and all the wiring. And I'm
Yeah.
hoping that has the ECU built into the throttle body and not a separate unit, but we'll see.
I guess it
Might be
depends on
right.
the year, the make.
It's Holly Sniper. So I think he just did it. So
Or I mean the model, because I think all the newer ones is built in.
right. I know many of them are. Yeah. I know that they said that there's a screen that comes with it. I guess an in-car screen, and he went an extra $500 to get the bigger one because he's an older guy and he can't see the small one.
Wow.
So again, that's a plus. So
Yeah. I was thinking about getting one for the Cadillac, but
yes,
then all the fellas started talking about doing the LS, so changed the whole outcome.
well, with the LS, you just use what's on the LS. You just use the factory stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
O'Brien just said he's got to turn on his speaker on his phone.
Oh, like
Right, to hear it on speakerphone. So he may have been hearing us through like the phone receiver, not through the speakerphone. Thank you, Brian.
That makes
Right.
sense.
That makes sense. Like you take a phone call, you put it on speaker. Right.
We think you have to put your phone on speakerphone.
That makes sense. Or if he has earbuds, that'd be just as good.
Huh. That makes sense. Thanks, Brian.
So yeah, why would you even consider using something different than what the LS comes with? I mean, that's all figured out, tried and true. And they make all the conversion harnesses and
Yeah.
Well,
that's what I was saying. I was going to put it on the 5 or the 425.
I got you.
Then the fellas started talking about the LS, so now I got that on the way. So
all right, copy that. That's my mistake. Yeah, on the 425, that would have been a great idea.
Yeah.
But now I got to drill holes in my jet hot coated headers and collectors to put the oxygen sensors. So progress.
You got to run a return line too, right?
Yes. Now what I did was when I had my gas tank redone years ago, I had them do two things for me. Well, I had them gel coat the inside so it would never rust.
Mm-hmm.
And I had them put a drain in the lowest part of the tank. So if it ever did get laid up and I had to drain the gas, I could do it without taking the tank out. And I also had them put a return bung in the back of the tank in case I do use fuel injection. I can just attach the line to that. So I'm set up for that.
Oh, that's cool.
I got to see what kind of fuel pump he has. If it's the type that goes in with the big mounting plate on top, then I'll have to. Actually, my sending unit goes into the back wall of the tank, not the top. And he has a 55 Chevy. I don't remember.
I think you're good as long as it just goes back into the tank. I don't think it matters where it's located.
Depends on the type of pump. I think the 55 Chevy goes in through the side. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, we'll figure it all out.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out. They have good support. So.
All right. Here's Robert. Hey,
All
can
right,
you hear
round
us?
two.
All right, we're there, big fella.
Yeah, sounds good. We know what one of the guys said that maybe you got to hit the speakerphone on your phone. You were probably listening through the headset. You know what I mean? On your phone.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Move to your
But we're
left.
here.
Yeah.
We're here
Yep.
though.
As long as you can hear us now, that's all that matters.
Yep.
Yeah.
So tell us who you are and what you do, and then we're going to go towards what you're building.
Okay, well, I just lost my earbuds.
I hate earbuds. I am not an earbud guy.
Can you hear us?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Move to your left a little bit. We can't see you. The other,
how we doing?
or to your right.
No,
Move
it's
to your
his
right.
left. Towards your car.
Yeah, towards your car. There you go. Cool.
Better?
There you go. That's better.
Yep.
Okay. So what I did when I first started constructing this car was I bought a 1930 Ford Model A front cowl. And I had all the intentions of building a steel-bodied rat rod. Well, after I had gotten the cowl, which I got it off of eBay, and it came, I got it from Connecticut. The guy mailed it to me on a Greyhound bus.
Mm-hmm.
So he put cardboard around it, stuck it in the bottom of the Greyhound bus, and it took about 2 weeks for me to get it.
You know, a lot of people don't realize you can ship that way.
I
see
didn't
a lot.
realize how to fit in the Greyhound bus.
Yeah, I've seen a car hood come through on the Greyhound bus.
Well, I can see a hood, but this is the whole. Oh wait, the cowl. Right, it was the cowl.
Yeah. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
So I had the cowl, and I live in Santa Barbara County, California, and there's a lot of wineries around here. So I had picked up a couple of barrels at one time, and I had built a fountain out of them. Well, when I had the cowl sitting up against the wall, and I had the barrels, and the barrels had dried up, and the staves had kind of fallen apart. So I was like looking at the 1930 Ford Model A cowl and the shape of it, and I was looking at the staves, and I thought, well, I'm gonna have to take a look and see how that matches up. So here's one of the wine barrel staves. And what I did was I put them on a 1/4-inch flat piece of plywood, and I put them on the table saw, screwed the edges down, and then ripped them through the table saw, which took off that beveled edge on it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I could glue them, so I could put a square surface together and glue them up. But that was after I realized that the shape of the stave is remarkably close
to
the shape of the cowl.
Yeah.
So once I had that, I go, well, I'm not building this out of metal now, I'm building it out of wood. So as you can see, I've got one of the corks here that when I put this together, I just left that bung in place. And,
beautiful. Make that the gas fill.
Well, I do on my trunk.
Okay.
So I used the pungent. This barrel here is like a barrel you would see in front of a store that they're putting trash in.
Mm-hmm.
And the trunk area is a bigger barrel. I used 3 barrels in building the cockpit of the car. If you can see, this right here is the lid pieces, which gives me the straight part.
I actually
We can't
past
see the
your
side.
hand. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, you got to turn. We can only see where the barrel part or the notch is. Can you turn the camera a little bit so we see the back half? Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so that returns in, and then there's the side piece. Okay.
so this part goes all the way through.
Oh.
It goes all the way through, and then I hung this pungent stave starts right here, and it's got a little niche in it where the lid would go in, and then all the way on the back is the same thing. So I use that whole stave, where on these I chop them down to fit for the height of the car. I just drifted it down to where it matched the best on the cowl. And so I put suicide doors on it.
Nice.
And,
now the doors made out of barrel too?
Yes.
Nice.
I have this one off right now doing some work to it. I've got the other side where it's got a problem, so I got to take it off and repair it.
Okay.
Just from some, the wood always moves. So you have a problem with cracking sometimes just because of the glue process. I had that side split on me, and then I had some issues down here where I hit something. Okay. But yeah, my whole car is, it's just lots of guys. The whole car is, it's just a gadget car. I used, what can I just walk around and kind of explain?
Yeah.
Let me see this. Did you get the wine barrels for free, or did you have to pay for it?
Yep.
That's, you know what? That's beautiful. What do you think that the car's going to weigh when it's all done?
Well, I've driven it.
Really? Okay.
Yes. It's licensed.
What do you use for power? What's under the front keg?
Well, I have a Chevy 350.
Okay.
With a YN 2.4 setup.
Oh, nice.
With lake style headers.
Okay. Now, I know what lake pipes are, but what are the lake style headers? Explain.
They're just the header that swings off to the side and will blow out by the the A pillar.
So you could use it for to tie.
Yeah, and I run straight headers.
All right, good. No resonators in there or anything, just really straight open headers.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And
that'll give you some cracks.
I've broken down. I've broken down, and highway patrolman pulls up behind me, and I grab my registration and my driver's license, and he goes, "What do I want to see that for? What the hell is this thing?"
Yeah. Nice.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah. Are you running an automatic or a standard transmission?
Yep. 350.
Okay.
Turbo 350.
And what do you got out back? What's in the rear end?
It's a 56 Chevy.
Okay.
Rear end, and I do. I work out at Vandenberg Space Force Base, and I do a lot of construction work, and so I'm constantly wheeling and dealing with people. I got my rear end for doing some work at somebody's house.
Great.
And then my front, I've got a Super Bell drop axle.
Nice.
And disc brakes. And I got that for building about a 20-foot section of fence.
That's the essence of hot rodding, is bartering for stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What gears are in
well,
that rear end?
Well, that's as I show you the car, you'll see. If I can make it, I'm going to make it. I don't want to buy it.
Okay.
I don't know. I just have a hard time, spending crazy money on this thing.
Yeah.
Just because of what it is.
For sure. No, I gotcha.
So if I can make something, I definitely want to make it. And I made my own shifter and shifter linkage.
Mm-hmm.
I made my own motor mounts.
Mm-hmm.
I've got I made my own steering wheel.
Oh, wow. How did you finish off the wood to make it leather? Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, it is.
So
that is sweet.
When I was telling you that I work, I'm on a support contract that works for the 4th SLS, Space Launch. And we're a support group that does all the facility repairs. So anything that goes along with, like ULA or Boeing or United Launch Alliance or whatever, or SpaceX, we work on their facilities, maintaining the equipment that supports the missile launches.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So, HVAC is one of the systems we work on, and this was inside of an air handler that was broke down. This is a pulley.
Yeah, I could see. Yeah, okay.
So, and you can see I put the V belt back inside the pulley.
Okay, I can see that now. Yeah.
And so this was flat at one time. And so what I did is I put it in a hydraulic press, heated these edges up, and pressed the dish into it.
Nice. Yeah.
And then I got a mill, and I took the spline off an old steering wheel.
Mm-hmm.
And I milled this center section out and pressed that spline in there to receive this column.
Yep.
And then you can see that I've got it opened up enough for that.
Yeah.
For the nut to go on. And I eventually want to get a horn kit for it somehow. But that's the kind of stuff.
I like I was just having lunch with a couple of fellas today. We were talking about things just like that. I showed him a picture that I didn't make, but a fellow had made. Where two of us at lunch were drummers, and he made an air cleaner out of a snare drum, which looks phenomenal. So I told him, "Look, I made an air cleaner out of a ceiling fan," and because it looked right. I put 20 hours into this thing to cut the bottom to fit a Weber carburetor, and I broke the first rule of hot rodding and fabrication. Straight down the line. Put it on the car, close the hood, and the hood wouldn't close. It was too dull. So now it's just a piece of garage junk.
Well, that's a great lead-in, Ray, to my next.
I think we all have stories like that.
Yeah.
I'm a scratch.
Beautiful.
Nothing that work is safe.
Right.
When I see something that I'm working on, if I can turn it into a car part, I want to turn it into a car part.
Yeah.
Nice.
I love the
You
spirit.
can see this right here. I don't know what will give you the best.
That way.
Yeah.
Wow, that looks like real. Oh man, that is like.
Okay, if you can kind of see that catfish mouth right there.
Yeah.
And it's kind of Star Warsy looking.
Yeah, very. Yeah.
Well, this is out of a C-130 jet engine.
Cool.
It's an air fuel mixing chamber, and there's 6 of them inside a C-130 engine.
Wow.
And it goes. They're stacked around. They're stacked around this way.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what blows into the fan.
Right.
Well, where I work. We have a power plant, and they use 5 C-130 jet engines that turn turbines to create power for Slick 6, Slick 3, and Slick 4. So what happens is that when they go, when they get a missile on the pad, they'll get off a commercial power, and the power plant will run so they don't get any interruptions.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I saw, when they were refurbing some of the engines, and as soon as I saw one of these, I thought, I gotta be able to make an air scoop out of this thing somehow.
You know, or a really big tailpipe tip. You know,
Yeah.
it looks like a. Yeah, that's a great, and that looks like it's like a brass alloy. It's some sort of.
You know what? I don't know
alloy?
what kind of alloy it is. It's
It's got the color. It's got that brassy color. So
it does. It does. But
Yeah.
it's.
I'm sure it's not
and
non-ferrous.
And it's pressed. This is sleeved into here, and this is sleeved into that.
Right.
So
Well,
what would be
both.
nice about that is if I have to do any modifications to it, you can see there's like little divots in it that are holding it in as it's pressed in there.
Right.
But I'm going to have to cut some holes in it.
Yeah.
So, and I'm hoping that I can
4.5-inch holes to be exact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's one of the other gadgets.
That's cool. That's very neat.
And
I don't know what you can do about a filter, but
And I'm just going to walk you around the car and show you what I've done.
Okay, sounds good.
The parts of a buff in your car. That's what they call the C-130.
Yeah.
UFF.
So I'm trying to figure out how I can get you into this.
Okay, so you had driven it, but obviously you've taken it apart again.
Okay. So this is my grill shell.
Yeah.
And you can see on top of here.
Yeah, it's a wine bottle. Wine
so
bottle.
that's a play on the old, with the round thermometer and the wings.
That was, they called those something mommers. What were they called? There was there's a name for those things.
And these here.
That's a great, perfect.
These here, this is a 1933 Dodge truck grill shell.
Uh-huh.
And these are wine barrel bands. So I filled the center section of the grill shell in with the bands.
Hmm.
And it turned out, and then I, down here, where the Model A horns here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I added this piece of sheet metal in to be able to anchor it on there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a beautiful fit.
Yeah. And then there's another gadget I came up with. See if I can find it.
Oh, look at that.
So that's all my steering.
Oh, that's some figuring out there.
So, all right, the shaft spins. It could work without the top 2 gears. Are they just ornamental? Or do they actually do something?
Well, my steering column goes into the top one.
And that is okay. And that is a timing chain, correct?
Yep. And then I've got the little. The center one is an idler.
It's an idler. Okay, so it is. Okay, beautiful.
So does that center one move to adjust?
Yes, I can. Okay. And it's real responsive.
So what did you just have? You have the bolts going through a bearing or something?
I have flange bearings on the inside.
Right, gotcha. Right, beautiful. Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah,
that's really cool. I like that.
And then let's see if I can get the.
This is
my motor mount.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are made off of something I got out of Speedway. That was a a 4-link setup, and I ended up not using it. So I ended up using this to where this is the part that screws into the shaft of your 4-link.
Right.
And then I have this jam nut that will run down and lock it to where I want it to, but it gives me this action.
Adjustability, yeah.
And this action.
Right.
And it's got the little isolator in the middle there.
Yeah.
Sorry if you guys are having a hard time seeing that.
No, you're doing good.
Yeah, we got you.
And then I use a wine bottle. Can you see the wine bottle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here, where I'm at, everybody used to use a Budweiser can or a Jack Daniels bottle.
Yeah, so I use a wine bottle for my overflow.
All right, so you got Chevy brakes with D52 calipers, the single piston calipers. They're tried and true. That'll always
And
work.
let's see.
10.5-inch rotor, I guess.
And let me get you back. Sorry, guys.
No, you're good.
This is I'll explain this one. So what I did with these parts is I made my convertible top out of them. The mechanism. So this is the part that goes to the top of your door frame. And then you'll have this arm here that's on the hydraulic part. And then this arm here sets on there and then goes to the other part, right?
Right, right.
So when I saw these pieces and I wanted to build my own mechanism, these are, door closers for commercial doors.
Oh,
You guys have all walked through them.
Yeah, sure.
So when I saw these mechanisms, I thought, this is going to give me a way to build my convertible top.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have this part
Right.
that slides in and out.
Right.
And then I took, which I'm calling a tombstone. This is what I welded down. I drilled, I cut this off, drilled and put a bushing in there. And now I've got this sitting like this.
Right, right.
And then I add this on there where it will go in and out.
Uh-huh.
Which once I loosen it and it can go out, then it gives me to where I can break the top over.
And the beauty is, all you got to, if you ever break down a need, you just got to put on a work shirt, a tool belt, and go to anybody's store door and say, yeah, I'm here maintenance. Just like, take it off another door and just throw it on your car. That's great.
So
let me show you what it looks like in the car.
That's fantastic.
So how long did it take you to figure out the angles and the, you know what I mean?
Well,
there you go. Yeah.
It's a hit and miss.
Luckily, it's not a big top, so that probably helped out a little.
It's Lewis. It's kind of like trial and error.
Mm-hmm.
I keep trying until I get it. And I made the wooden bows.
The bows are made out of wood, I guess, right? Those are wood.
Yeah, I made the wooden bows out of 2 pieces of 1x6, glued together, doweled to get the legs.
Mm-hmm.
And then I cut them out with a jigsaw, and then I rounded them over with a router.
Okay.
And I see if I can get it. Can you see that?
Yes.
Yeah.
You can kind of see how the components are all together.
Uh-huh.
And where I welded it down to the car.
Yeah. Sure.
And then this is my thumb screw that I loosened.
Right.
So I loosened that. Oh, shit. And I loosened this.
Wow. Perfect. Look at
Beautiful. Beautiful.
It works awesome.
that. Yeah, it
That's
does.
great.
That's pretty slick.
That's phenomenal.
And now here's something that So you guys all got to remember, you know, I'm Captain Scrounge. Now, if you guys can see this whole console here, I picked that up. It was being thrown away, and I picked it up. It's red anodized, and I actually worked on this program when I was 20 years old. It was the Peacekeeper program, if you guys remember that. Peacekeeper MX missile.
Name is vaguely familiar to me, but
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you the details.
Well, when I was 20 years old, that's the first program that I worked on. And this is when they did that treaty with Russia and they got rid of the Peacekeeper missiles, well, they have all these boosters. So they use the boosters for different missiles. And this was being used on the Minotaur program, which was a satellite. They were putting satellites on top of the boosters.
What time in history are we talking about? Was that in the
1982?
82, okay.
When the research and development, we didn't launch until 83. The first launch was in 1983.
Okay.
And so this is pieced up here. I cut it and added this section in here to make it work. And then you can see the thumb screws that make it kind of cool. And this is where my shifter is going to go through. If I can get you there. You can see I have it cut out right now. And I'm going to make a detent. So I have a shifter that I made, which I won't really be able to show you. You're not going to be able to see the detail of it. But I've put a neutral safety switch in here. And when I built this shifter mechanism, I put a Heims in there. So if you can see that pivot action, so that's
a really cool gas pedal too. Where'd you find that?
where did I find the shifter?
No, the gas pedal.
Oh, that's a sewing machine.
Nice. An old sewing machine.
Yeah.
Nice. Oh man.
But
just keeps getting better.
Yeah, right.
But this little that's what I kind of hope to be able to do is create a divots in here for my detent, because of this is going to be over in this position, and then I'll be able to move it here for reverse, and then back for drive, and then back again for second gear, and then straight back for first gear.
What are you going to do for hanging the steering column off of the dash? You're going to do the typical hot rod, piston rod type of thing, or are you going to do something different?
No, it's coming straight up like rat feet.
Oh, through the floor.
Yep, it's coming straight up. It's a big, Well, I have it. I'll show it to you. Let me round it up. This was given to me by a winemaker. And so that portion there with the handle and this little dingy part hanging off the front, that's your wine thief.
Okay.
I added this piece of stainless here. And then I was thinking I was going to use the release lever, but I'm going to take that off. But this is a wine thief. And I'm just sticking with, the wine theme.
Yeah.
So this screws on there. in this type of
Oh,
fashion.
that's the shifter. Are you going to paint the dash candy brandy wine?
Well, I'm going to have my friend Lewis is going to cover this with leather, tooled leather.
Red Chablis leather.
Yep.
There you go.
And it's right here, Lewis, you can see what I was talking about with how I have just that little bit of separation there. Because when I cut this lid down, that's all the height that I could get out of it. I couldn't go up any further. So when you cut that pattern out, if you leave that a little long, I can probably, stick that behind it or let it roll in front of it.
Yep. That look good. Hold on, let me grab the pattern. Show the fellas.
Here, Ray, I'll show my. Here's
Robert sent me the pattern of the dash.
Ray, this is the top of my trunk.
Okay.
That's my fuel tank.
Yeah, there you go. Beautiful.
That's where my gas will go in.
That's great.
So you can see that I've
like a rumble seat.
Yeah.
Type of door.
Okay. Coil overs.
Oh, that's pretty nice.
Yeah. Is
my
that
pan hard bar?
I was gonna say it's a pattern bar setup. Yeah, which is it's almost like a 3-link because a pattern bar usually goes from top to bottom, but
it'll go in right here.
Yeah, just to locate the rear. Yeah, that'll work.
And then
nice.
I made these little props. I just piece of metal bent, little rubber little deal there to adjust the height of the trunk.
Uh-huh.
I built that fuel tank.
Go for a minute.
It's a 17-gallon, and I put a couple of baffles in it.
Yeah.
I got a Ford sending unit in it.
Now, is that metal or plastic?
It's aluminum.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And
can you build a 100-gallon tank?
Well, let me tell you, this one was quite the chore because I'm really not a heliarcher, but I managed it.
Got it done.
So after I welded it, I went to a friend's and I welded it up, took it home, filled my bathtub up full of water. And I aired it up, put the thing on it. My sending unit wasn't in there yet. Filled it full of air, stuck it in the bathtub, had all kinds of leaks, marked where the leaks were, took it back, welded up the leaks, put air back in it, put it back in the bathtub, had more leaks. And then finally I got all the leaks.
Nice.
So that's about it on this crazy thing.
Yeah.
That looks good. Now, how long did it take you to get to this point?
Well, let me tell you. I started in 2012. And 3 years later, I was driving it. And I've driven it as far as I live about an hour away from Santa Barbara. I drove it to the State Street Nationals. And then I drove it as far as Pismo Beach. They have a big car show there. And they used to have it on Father's Day. And when I was coming home, I spun a bearing.
Oh boy.
Wow.
So it sat here for a couple of years. And then when COVID hit, I decided that I was going to get it running again. So I wanted to take it from a rat rod, and I wanted it to maybe be the prettiest rat at the dance.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It was all rusted metal and rust, burnt through, and the grill shell was, or the radiator grill shell was all rusted, and so I decided that I wanted to clean it up. The frame was solid rust.
Yeah.
So I can kind of show you what I've done under there. So when I was telling Ray about, let's see, this about this being a 56 Chevy rear end, you can kind of maybe, can you see the emergency brake stuff here?
Yeah, I saw that. I was one. Yeah.
So what I did was, instead of getting new cables, because this is as far as they went, I went ahead and made this. And what I did is I didn't know what I could do. I just happened to look at a cut sheet of a 56 Chevy emergency brake system. And when I looked at that cut sheet, they have two pulleys, one down at the floor, and then one at the top where you pull the handbrake. So when I saw those pulleys, I thought, okay, well then I can use pulleys, because I've never done this before. I didn't know what I'd run into, and I just assumed that a 90-degree pull would be difficult on an emergency brake cable. So I made this bracket, and these brackets here, this one fits through, and then I don't know if you guys can see them.
Yeah.
But you just pull that little thing out and it locks it in.
Yeah, it's like a brake hose clip.
And this is just the pulleys that I put in. This is a piece of that's a coupling for all thread.
Mm-hmm.
So I got the wire chasing through that, and then this is just another bracket that I found on the job that I used. And then this chrome stuff here is just pendant light tubing where the wire runs through it. So I wanted to use a chase. I thought that I would need something to keep the wires from hanging down when it was released.
Oh yeah.
So I built that chase to keep them solid so they wouldn't fall out of the pulley. That was my thinking.
That's
and
good.
It works.
Yeah.
But
beautiful.
Can you see some of the construction there underneath?
Yeah.
And right here, that's metal from a filing, or what are those cabinets? Those metal cabinets.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I keep my eyes peeled for metal, and so like I said, it's a complete. Oh, here you go. I ended up using 64 Impala tail lights.
Oh yeah! Wow, it's you don't usually see them single like that.
Well, isn't it? It's Ray. The way it worked out was I built this, and then I went looking for lights, and look at how they fall in line.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
It just worked out. There's a shot. Now did you guys ever see the print? This oak barrel stuff is tiger oak. If you can see that tiger print.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's real beautiful wood.
I have a friend who has a historical house in Queens, and all the pocket doors and all the woodwork is all tiger oak from the early teens, and it's all it's all stained and lacquered. It's gorgeous. That beautiful pattern.
Yeah.
And that was kind of one of the neat things for me, Ray, is that when it was Sisquoc Winery is where I got the barrels. I knew the winemaker, and he said, "Yeah, come get some barrels." Well, when I threw the barrels onto my car, I had no idea what wood they were. I just knew they were oak.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so it turned out to be, in my favor that that it was tiger oak because it has such a pretty grain.
Yeah.
And what I want to do with that is I want to paint the cowl area. I want to paint it, rat rod black. And then this is the red wine. So I would like to get a burgundy color and stain the staves that burgundy color, but I want it to be a transparent.
Yep. I was going to say
I
that.
want to be able to see the grain through.
Yeah.
But this is I don't know how well you can see on the camera, but this is it's really real pretty color.
Yeah, it is.
Nice.
It's like an ox blood almost.
Yeah.
That'd be nice with like a buff tan seat and top. Those two colors really complement them nicely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I went to the State Street Nationals in Santa Barbara, which I've always wanted to go to West Coast Customs. That West Coast Customs is in my town. I'm sure you've heard of it, West Coast Customs car show.
Yeah, I'm friends with a lot of those guys.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I've always wanted to go to that show. I just have never been able to make it.
Well,
But
listen.
when I was at the State Street Nationals, I was parked next to a 32 3-window, and the guy owned 3 different restaurants in Santa Barbara, and I had people standing in line to look at my car, and he leaned over one time and says, "Nobody's looking at my car. They sure want to see yours, though."
Yeah.
Right.
And, I like when people laugh at my car because I know exactly why they're laughing, because they can't believe that I've got a Chevy 350 pushing a wine barrel down the highway.
Yeah.
So it just it's the fun part is that people are trying to figure out how I put it together.
Oh,
how
yeah.
did I make it all work?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the
I don't believe you can do that by looking at the car as a whole. You have to look at it as little segments because that's how it was built. Because it doesn't make sense when you look at it as a whole. You scratch your head and say, "How did he do that?" It's a conglomeration of its components.
Right.
Yeah. Well, Ray, what I did on the my history with cars is very little. I had a family, so I wasn't car oriented. And then once the kids graduated and moved out, I became friends with a guy that had a car lot, and he had the cars. So when I was in high school, I had a '68 Super Sport Camaro, but that went away. And then I had to have the family cars. Well, about when I turned about 50 years old, I picked up a '64 Mustang and I turned it into a resto mod. And I ended up selling it to some guy in Germany, and I shipped it over to Germany. Well, prior to that, I was telling Lewis this when I was chatting with him once, that I had a '72 Oldsmobile that happened to be in Henderson, Nevada at the time. And it was used in the movie Casino.
Oh.
So other than that, after the sale of my resto mod, I thought, man, I want I've got a phone call. I'm gonna try and hang up. There we go. I wanted to do something cheaper.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, cheaper in money, but more expensive
Time.
in man hours.
Yep. Time to get you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let the fellas in, but real quick, if next time West Coast Custom has a lost him.
What happened?
Hit the wrong button. Let the fellas in. They can ask questions.
Hey.
Hey, have you heard anything about John? I know he posted something today.
I spoke to John today, and I'm happy to say he is out of the hospital. He's back home.
$10,000 or more in credit card debt, maxed out on
TV's on.
cards, constantly worried about how you're going to make your monthly payments. If so, we have an urgent message for you. Freedom Debt Relief can help you lower your monthly
It's Brian.
payments.
Brian's the culprit. Turn the TV off.
There we go.
24 to 48 months. Do not
This
spend
sounds good,
another
though.
minute stressing over how to pay your.
Nice. So yeah, John is home, out of the hospital. He's going to learn how to walk again because being laid up for so long, you kind of get atrophied. But he sounded a little tired today, but that could be expected. Sounded good.
Good.
Jumped around a little bit, and hopefully he'll just move forward now.
Good. I have to give him a text.
Yeah.
Okay, Robert. What I was saying is, when West Coast has a show again, let me know. I'll make a call out there and get you a tour of their place. You hear me? You're froze. Robert.
Cell phones are overly tenuous.
Technical difficulties.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was gonna let you guys ask them some questions. I know you were itching for it. Can you hear us, Robert? Can you hear us?
yes.
Okay, cool. I was gonna say when West Coast has another show, let me know and I'll make a call out there and get you a good tour. Jeremy? No.
No, it was all garbage.
Oh yeah. Move closer. Can you hear us better now? How about now?
Yeah.
Is that better? Okay.
Yep.
When West Coast has a show, let me know. I'll make a call out there and try to get you a good tour. Because I'm good friends with a lot of those
Right
guys.
on.
Yeah, they're good guys, man. They'll take you through there and show you some stuff.
Yeah, they had it. I think 2 weeks ago.
Oh, did they? Well, if you're up around their
The
place,
show was.
let me know. You can go anytime, probably, as long as they're not into something. But yeah, let me know.
How's my audio?
Good. So
Yeah, yours is in and out for some reason.
okay. Anybody want to ask any questions? Brian, I know you
Come on,
got
Jeff, I know you want to build a wooden car.
Oh, heck yeah. We don't do much with wood. Wood beds is about all we do.
Yeah.
Nobody does. That's what makes it so unique.
Heck yeah. Yeah, I've been listening. The thing's pretty awesome.
Yeah. I like how he figured out the barrel was the same contour of the metal or whatever. I mean, that was.
Yeah. What's the odds of that? You know what I mean?
Right. A happy accident.
Yeah. That's all the good things are.
All right. Can you
Yeah,
hear
I
us?
think what happened was, I lost my Wi-Fi,
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, you sound
and now
good.
I'm in the house. I'm in the house.
Yeah, you sound good now. So the
Yeah.
fellas are going to talk to you about the car a little bit.
All right, right on.
So how did you stumble across the shape of the car? That's the part that I liked. How you just, I mean, did you accidentally drop a piece of the wood on top of it, or did you actually? I mean, how did you stumble across that? Because it's not like you say, "Oh, that should fit." You know, I mean, it's just kind of weird.
I guess if I go back from the beginning, so when I took the stave and I matched the stave up to the A pillar of the cow, and I seen that shape was so close without having to sand it or anything to change the profile. I knew that I needed to take the edges off the stave because of the edges that they have on. It's kind of like an X, Y, and a Z, where it will if you stick them together, it makes that circle.
Yeah.
Well, once I shaved those edges off, then I knew I had fence boards, I guess you could say. And what I did was I saw a third. So this is a 30 Model A cow. So I ended up measuring a 1930 Model A Roadster. And I kind of got some basic measurements from there. And when I had no floor in the car, I put some bulkheads in. And I hung everything off of those bulkheads. So the first thing that I built was the door. And so when I hung that door onto for the A or the B pillar bulkhead, once I hung that door there, then I knew that I needed to make that turn. So making the turn was difficult because I had to shave the boards. It wasn't making a continuous radius. Every time I stuck a new board on it, it wanted to go up. So I had to cut the boards, bevel the boards a bit.
Yeah.
And then I took it and I moved it, went all the way through around. And once I had the cockpit built, I took the pungent barrel staves and I put a piece of angle iron across the back, and I figured out how much angle I wanted on the trunk, what would work the best shape. And then once I had that, then I built a frame on the back part of the car to hold that stave in place so I could build the trunk side.
Well, it's definitely really good looking, and it must have been a very intense Pink Floyd moment when you could have gotten all that stuff to fit together, because the handful of things that you came across, like the emergency brake and adding the frame and the pieces, like I said, just falling across, especially like the tail lights. I mean, those are you have a very good depth perception look into it, because that's, like I said, I try to do one little thing and it takes me 6 months and it never gets done because I've taken it apart 4 different times. Yeah. So
Robert, it just hit me. What chassis is that body sitting on?
It's a Model A.
It is a Model A. Okay. So I guess you can obviously register that car as a Model A or as a 1930 Ford in
Ray, it's registered as a 1930 Roadster.
Nice.
Yep.
That's nice.
Great.
I can't tell you how I did it, but I did it. State of California.
I was going to say, the only thing is I can see an insurance company guy, God forbid, hopefully this never happens, having to work out a claim for you and saying, okay, how do we get comparable parts to fix this thing? Because somebody hit it and say, "What? It's made out of what?"
Yeah.
Or you have a termite clause.
Right. You need a
Right,
termite
yeah.
clause.
Well, talking about the taillights, that was one of the things. I think in a lot of cases, there were some things that worked out when I tried to make them work out.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a lot of things that worked out, and I don't know how I did it.
Well, I'm glad to see, for one, you didn't use, and no offense meant, Brian, that you didn't use Mustang taillights or 59 Caddy taillights, because every rat rod in the world has. I'm glad to see you didn't do that.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
I agree with that, right?
The oddball stuff, the stuff you don't see, that's what's cool.
Right.
Um,
And and even so, like with the Impala taillights, Impalas always had 3 lights. So to see one of them it would take your eye and your brain to say, "Hey, I know what that is, but what is it?" Because it's out of context.
Yeah.
And that's cool. It's
Well-
a cool thing.
I might say, Ray, the only reason why there's 2 and not 3 or 6 is because when I was at Famoso Drag Strip and they had a swap meet, and like I said, I built that trunk area the way I built it, and then I thought I'm going to try to find some taillights. I didn't have the taillights when I built it,
Okay.
and so when I saw those taillights at the swap meet, he only had 2.
Oh.
There you go.
There you go.
That made the answer
So
for
that
you.
might be the only reason why
Right. Hey.
there's only 2 on that car.
And I've heard people say the reverse. Well, I had these lights, and I knew I had to build a panel, so I just held up the lights and filled in with metal, whatever looked good. You can do it either way.
Yeah.
So that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
That's
I guess those questions were answered for you because they only had 2, so that's what you were going to make work. So
and in this world, especially in this world of creating stuff, sometimes you just have to go with it and let it speak to you. Let it tell you what to do. It'll the answers will show themselves. And then even if you put the 2 in, you stood back, you might know, like, no, I need.
Oh, and they come out like I planned it.
Right.
They come out straight out.
Right.
They're not tipped down.
Mhm.
They're not tipped up. They're straight out.
It's like it's just like the barrel holes. It's everything things just line up,
fell in place.
just works out right. Yeah.
Well, there's a story behind that.
Okay.
Let's hear it.
When I was putting it together, you can just imagine all of these barrels disassembled and all these pieces laying around, like the bands, the lid pieces, and the staves. And when I'm building the car, I'm like, well, what am I going to use here? What am I going to use next? What can I do? How can I make this? And I'd look over to the pile and I'd go, well, I can use that. So I didn't show you the seats, but the back of the car is I cut the bands in half, and that gave me an alcove.
Okay.
And that's my seat back.
Yeah. Nice.
Is the cutout of the bands.
Natural arc. Yeah.
And what's cool about it is I stacked the first band at the top, and I stuck the next one in, and the next one, and the next one, and on all the way down, and it just created a funnel.
Oh, cool.
Just exactly like it should have.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was kind of my play on a metal bomber seat.
Right.
Right. That's what I was thinking when you were saying that.
Yeah.
And then the same thing with the radiator grill shell. I had no idea. It came with a grill, but it was bent and it was, it wasn't perfect. And then I thought, well, why don't I just remove that and add the wine barrel bands in it? So, I mean, it just.
I'm thinking.
I don't know. It just really comes together very good.
I'm hearing everything you say, and I see what you did, and I'm picturing a finished car now. And in my mind, I have to say, this isn't a rat rod. You know, this is not a rat rod. This is a custom creation. This is a custom hot rod, in my eyes at least, because I think rat and not to take away from anybody, but too many guys use the term rat rod as an excuse for I don't know how to do shit, or I don't know how to make don't know how to make something nice, or I'm too cheap to do something nice. So I'm just going to fall into this new cool category and be one of the guys. But you're building a custom hot rod that would have fit right in 1962 on the beach. You know, Jeffries or Barris or any of those guys. I think.
Yeah,
that's really nice.
Thank you. I really realize that, maybe that's an excuse, but I don't want to go to any more car shows and say it's a rat rod.
There you go.
Yep.
It's a hot rod.
It's a hot rod.
I just want to go in as a hot rod.
You're gonna have to make a new logo for your shirt, though. Make it custom rod, not rat rod.
Yep.
You know, it's like Custom Rodder, the old magazine. That's kind of because that's what it is. It's a home built custom.
Yeah.
It's not going to look home built. It's going to look, it's going to look a lot better. It's going to look a lot classier because the workmanship is top shelf in my mind.
Thank you.
Well, these porn guys really hit me tonight.
Oh, Lewis. Every week after just about after you leave, around now. Every week we get slammed.
You'll get hit
and
hard.
Keep on top of them, but sometimes they don't let you even delete them. You can't.
I need to hire one of these guys to get my information out.
To post it. I found sometimes if it won't let you block it, if you just put it in a timeout, it'll do it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes it doesn't even do that. It's hit or miss, but it's always after 10 o'clock that we get hit.
Yeah. Well, hey guys, I got to jump off. I got an early get up. But Robert, man, I really appreciate you coming on. We love your car.
Thank you.
Let me know if you need anything from me or need to talk to somebody. I got you. And I got
right on
pattern right here. And we are going to make a sweet dashboard.
Right on.
Very cool.
Nice.
Well, there's a story behind that before you go, Lewis.
Okay.
Is that I've had this idea for a long time. And, I've always asked, hey, do you know somebody that does leather work? This? Hey, and I never could pin somebody down. And I got hooked up to Arco.
Mm-hmm.
And then Arco told me that he was going to be on your show. And so I got on and I've been watching since that time that he was on the show with you.
Okay.
And then one day out of the blue, I get a request from you on my Instagram. And so I accepted the request and I started looking at your photos. And I'm like, the guy does leather work.
Robert, before you leave, please, if you want to put out your social media contact info so people can follow you.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I appreciate that. I'm glad we connected.
Well, and I just thought it was awesome the way it worked out because, like I said, just out of the blue, you requested it, and then I saw that you did leather work, and I went right on.
Yeah.
So I'm glad it finally worked that way.
Good. I like to follow people when I see a different style of car or something I really like. I follow those people because that's what this show is really about, is to promote everybody, companies, builders, garage builders, wherever, so that's why we're here.
Gadget.
And our own oddball machinations of what a car should be about.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I've been listening to you guys, and on Thursdays I'll watch your guys' show, and I know that you guys have a lot of car history behind you. So I appreciate you guys giving me the time to show you my car, and I really appreciate it, Lewis. And
Oh, no problem.
I appreciate the fact that you've been listening to us for long enough, and you still came on.
Yeah, yeah, you still like us.
Yeah.
Now before you tell us, you gotta answer the ultimate question, and that is
where is Terry anyway?
Yeah, where is Terry to hear this? But what is the classic? What is the go-to Chevrolet? Is it 55, 56, or 57?
That's your question, Robert.
That's yours. Yep.
oh gosh, I'd have to say 56 because I got a 56 rear end in my car.
I figured you would
Wow.
have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, we got
Terry
to have
missed
that little scoreboard. Let me mark that down here.
Yeah,
One.
be sure. We're gaining them.
3, 2, 1.
So
Yeah, man,
everybody-
we're the 56 is catching up. Man, we
We're-
gotta.
Well,
Just give us a minute. We're taking
our
over.
buddy
Terry.
Terry Wilson comes on, and that's his famous question because he's a 56 guy.
Right on.
So he asked all the guests that question.
So I had to fill in for my brother.
Yeah. All right, guys, I appreciate you. Robert, you are a family now, so you can come on anytime.
Right on.
Always welcome. If you have
Well, I'm gonna dip out too, guys, and I'm gonna
Okay.
get in the audience.
all
okay.
right, Robert. Thanks for coming on. We appreciate it.
Appreciate
Hey,
it.
I-
Robert. It's awesome to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was
Very cool.
this was really, really cool.
You've inspired watchers. You've inspired us. You've given us all a little bit more faith that we could do things that maybe we would think were out of our reach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And thank you for that. That's
Yep. Right on.
All right, guys. I'll see you.
Yeah.
next
Peace.
See you guys.
All right, boys. All right. Oh yeah, Jim, you're still awake?
You're on mic.
Can't hear him, but he's still awake.
Yeah,
There
sorry
we
about that. I muted it because I was doing something else. No, in fact, I was just about to say I got to bail because I got to go early tomorrow. So, sorry.
Yep.
Enjoy your retirement right now. You don't ever have to get off.
Doesn't have to.
I don't, but I still do.
24/7.
Yeah, it's I got up Monday, and I said, okay. I realized like, wow, yesterday was Sunday because I did the show. It's like, wow, it was really nice of them to put another Saturday on the calendar after Sunday. Now it's Saturday again, and that's what Broncatello said: 6 Saturdays and a Sunday. It's like, I like this. That's pretty cool.
All right, guys. I'll see you next week.
All right, Jim.
All right,
Yeah.
Jim, take care. Oh, I wanted to. Damn it! I wanted to show him before you left because I found this. Shit, I didn't even think about it. Let me.
Fine.
Well, I got you guys here so you guys can see.
We always like your stuff.
Yeah.
I thought that
Yeah, we
this
do.
was interesting.
Yes,
Pontiac.
it is.
Oh yeah, Pontiac wagon. It's like a Le Mans.
Yeah.
That's with the Dynoc, and they put some. That's not a GTO hood scoop. What the hell kind of scoop is that?
No, it looks like
Send me that picture.
it looks like a God. What was that thing called?
Send it to Justin too.
Yeah.
You had me
and
at long
then
roof.
this.
It almost looks like a Trans Am spoiler reversed.
Yeah, and then this one was really nice. This is a
I've seen that picture.
Maverick, and they put the if you look, they put the Shelby lights in on the back.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah, that's
yeah.
cool. Speaking of that, I saw a new Maverick,
that's really
a new
nice.
Maverick pickup on the Parkway just the other day.
Yeah.
That thing is smaller than I thought.
Oh yeah.
It's
Well, I
it
sent you
really
that picture
yeah, well, still,
like
no,
a year ago.
I
Almost.
know. And I saw pictures in the magazine, but seeing it in person is different. It reminded me of like a Ranger, but even shorter.
Yeah, it's small. It's a small
Yeah, it is
thing.
small.
I think it's escape based, isn't it?
Probably.
It might
I
be.
I think so.
Yeah,
Which, yeah, those things aren't
I don't
very
know.
big.
I thought it was bigger, but yeah, like I said, the first time I saw one in person. So.
But it was that Maverick's pretty clean because they. Oops, let me get back over. So they took the shock towers out
That is very clean. Yeah,
and everything. So
I like the front spoiler.
Everything's,
The
everything's all
spoilers.
coordinated. Like
Yeah.
that's
Very sweet.
But I like. I mean, that's
The Maverick is
the.
a good-looking car. I mean, with the thin bumpers, it's a very good-looking car. I always
Yeah.
thought that.
and it's
I
another one
like
of
it.
those.
Not too many people. Most people put in 67, 68 Shelby lights. They don't put the 65, the 60, the 65 or 66, which were the Thunderbird lights. It would be 60.
The sequentials.
Yeah, but the Shelby ones were more they came squared and then they came to a point. They came
Which
out
fits the Mavericks profile, yeah.
But these are squared. The 65 Thunderbird lights. The Shelby lights in the 65 and 66 were regular Mustang lights.
Right.
They weren't the Shelby ones. When the Shelby went over, they had the square like Eleanor and all those.
Yeah.
And I never liked how they tapered or they weren't squared. And but the Thunderbird lights, that's what I have in the back of mine, are 66 Thunderbird, because 65 had the bird going through instead of the squares.
Okay.
So, but to see them in something other than the Mustang, I've never seen them in a Maverick. I thought that was
just like we were talking earlier. That's another car you don't see, and those get more attention than the
right.
You know,
I got something today in the mail to help me spot the cars that you do see, Brian.
Oh yeah, look at that. Yep,
buddy.
Buyer's guide. And let me tell you,
that
they go through all the different years, and I was just flipping through it. They do like all the call outs with all the all the features of all the different years. Well, nice book too. Nice thick heavy book.
Yeah. It's funny. It's kind of like what was those Avantes?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like that one car that you say, oh, they never change, but there's a lot of change in those cars. You know, when you look at them, that's why they're kind of like timeless, because they're like, oh, those cars never change, but they still look good. But then you realize.
The overall body, you knew what it was without a doubt, because the shell shape never changed. But yeah, there were a lot of smaller changes.
I walked into a shop.
Or a Ford van, it's like it stayed the same for 25 years.
Yeah, I walked into a shop and they had a Avante in there, and I was like, "Look at that old thing!" And the guy was like, "Oh, this is a later one. This was like towards the very end. This was like
84 or something,
85, whatever." I know that's still 20-some years, 30 years ago, but I was, when you.
I almost had one of them. I was hooked up with the guys in the local Studebaker club years ago, and most of the guys in that club have always been older. And one year they told me about a guy a few towns away that had an Avanti, and he said, it's a the supercharged car, and he said the guy, he was sick and he passed away, and his wife wants to get rid of the car. I can get it for a good price. I said, all right, I'll go look at it. He goes, well, but I got to tell you, he says he took it apart before he died. I'm like, okay. And where did he put the parts? Like, is everything bagged and tagged, or is stuff in boxes and bins? I never even went to look at it, because I said, you know what? I'm probably going to like it, and I'm going to want to take it, and I'm going to regret it, because I'm going to have to find parts, and he probably has the most expensive parts, and he put them somewhere else safe, and no one's going to know where that is. And then the whole thing isn't going to be worth it. So I let it pass. But I did find a deal today that I couldn't let pass. I was in a Home Depot, and I found my.
Oh yeah,
your
saw. Yep,
that's $9.
Yep.
And I said, I will take that all day long. It's probably because it's the M12. I think they're trying to discount the line, and I don't have any M18 stuff. So I said, I will take that, and it came with a case, a charger, and a battery. Like, beautiful.
Can't beat that. Well, they're killing it in the first place. Battery, I mean, all that stuff. I don't know what's really going to happen, because they are blowing that stuff out. And
but I looked, and just to buy 2 batteries was $99.
Yeah.
So, no.
It's crazy how much the batteries are.
I'm going to use it tomorrow, because I got to repump my pool, and I'm going to cut the PVC with it. So,
yep.
I'll put it to use right away.
Yeah. The battery, I mean, well, You don't need to hear my story, but
No, we were
man, I
talking about
tell
the
you,
aftermarket batteries too. Like they sell them on eBay. They look just like Milwaukee. They took the branding right down the line, man. I mean, you're fooled looking at them, and they're like
Yeah.
$36. That's how
Yeah.
you know.
Oh yeah.
I ain't no Milwaukee battery.
No. Yeah. So
No, I got these snatch-on sockets. They're only $45 for the whole. Oh, really? Okay. It's the same thing. Really? Okay, good. Yeah, good deal.
The good old snap-off
close,
sockets.
but no cigar. Don't worry, close, but
Right,
no
right.
cigar.
Oh, don't worry. It's a difference so minimal you'll never notice it.
Yeah.
You'll yeah.
Until you bust one off in your hand.
Yeah. Well, the only good deals that they ever had though were I'd gone to one of their trade shows or whatever, and they had a whole bunch of, I think it was aviation, because they were like neon orange or something, so they were high viv.
Right.
And I mean, they were practically giving that stuff away because I mean, they have a small market for it.
That's great to have in the shop because you know what's yours.
You know it's yours, and hopefully you won't lose it. The only problem, it's kind of like some of they had no warranty on them.
Okay. I bought a ratchet at the Englishtown swap meet. We were walking out, and the guy had like 5 things on the table. They all look new. And he had this one ratchet, 3/8 drive, regular length, like 6-inch, black.
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of like black.
Like a oxidized metal or whatever.
Not gloss black.
Yeah.
Not flat black. It was almost like black, like not a metallic black, it was a weird shade. I can't. So I said, I picked it up, and it was a fine tooth ratchet. It was used, but it wasn't used up. And I said, how much off? He wanted like $65. I said, wow, I know one of these ratchets costs more than that. They got to be close to 100 and change. So I think I offered him 50. He didn't take 50, but he took 60. And I said, okay. And then I researched it, and I found out that it was a
military.
Yeah, military. Yep. So probably, like I said, no warranty on it. But
hey,
what I'm using, it's a hand ratchet. What am I going to do with it? I'm not going to. It'll outlast me. So,
when I first started in my endeavors of being the tool guy, I had a guy, and he handed me a set of snap-on sockets, and he's like, "Hey, I want to trade these in towards another set of sockets. We work out a deal," and I didn't really think much of it, or didn't know really, and so I gave him a deal, and he said okay, and I don't know, I had them on the truck, and I threw them on the shelf to sell, and guys would, oh, what's this? I saw those were trading. And I had one guy, and he was very knowledgeable in the world of Snap-on. He's like, oh, these are military. And set them back down. I said, well, what's wrong? He goes, well, they won't warranty them.
Uh-huh.
So the following week, I went back to him, and I said, hey, those sockets you got. He goes, oh, yeah, when I was in the military, I lifted them.
Well, and the other way of looking at it is, if you don't abuse them, you're not going to have to warranty them.
No, but
45 years old that is still.
Yeah. Well, I mean, these things like I said, he had been out of the military for a while. So
you see it every day. I've seen it, but nowhere near the amount that you have. I still can't fathom how people break tools the way they break tools. I just don't get it. My stuff is, it's old, and it's still. I mean, you can see my wrenches, like the chrome is worn down, and you see the wear on the tools, but they still work as they're designed because they were never abused. They were just used, and these guys break it. Oh, what about you, Justin? You guys in the shop? These guys always breaking stuff?
Your tools weren't used with the logic that everything's either a hammer or a pry bar.
No, not at all. And my screwdrivers are not pry bars, right? They're not chisels. No.
Yeah, I had
cheap screwdrivers for.
I had a new guy this week came into my area, and of course, it's the typical. Let's see what we can get warranted. because the other guy, has told me no, and he came out with a box of stuff, and I looked at him and I said, "Seriously?" I said, let me give you a little introduction. I've been doing this for a while.
Yep.
And I don't have a free get out of pass card like when you're a new guy, because they'll take anything for you to clean the street and make you look good.
Right.
So using screwdrivers, for pry bars and this and this and that, and it's not going to work with me, buddy.
Yeah, you have to ratchet, no matter how good of a hammer it is.
Yeah, he's like, well, I'm going to call corporate. Well, I said, well, here's the number. So, I mean, and I said, you know what? I said, actually, they'll probably make me look really bad, because you could probably call them and they'll probably send you the stuff.
Right.
But if I send it in, they're going to send it back saying it was abused.
Right.
Or, so I'm more than welcome for you to call and do it. So,
Brian, don't play that game.
I know. I don't play well with others.
That's all right.
So
you got through last weekend with all the festivities.
Yeah, we're just
got a lot of stuff going on, man.
I had a lot, and actually today I was, we missed Monday was Emma's graduation, so I missed Monday, which made a little bit of a start of a tough week, but wasn't too bad. The gas prices came down a little, and I don't know, it seemed to be a little bit more activity this week.
When you miss a Monday, do you just pick up with Tuesday, or do you try and cram Monday into Monday and Tuesday? How do you do that?
Well, I try. I have a few places that kind of overlap, so I can pop in and see the guys. Some guys I had set up automatic payments. I had told them, what was going on, and
that's good that Harbor Freight lets you do that now.
Yeah. So I had, automatic payments, and I was a little off on Monday, but again, it's it all works out at the end of it all averages out. So
good. No,
I know it's
what?
Kind
I was going to say, you had a lot of good family time, and you can't replace that ever. So
no. There is one thing I can honestly say, and I tell a lot of the new guys when they get started in this, you have to be careful, because it will suck you in, and before you know it, you'll miss a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And that's with any kind of work, really.
I know guys that aren't tool guys, and they have missed a lot of family time because of work, without doubt. Just to keep that in your head. Family first.
Oh, yeah. I'm pretty fortunate that everybody that the shop kind of understands that. And,
good.
Sometimes you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah. And, no matter what, like you said, Ray, or anybody else, if you weren't here tomorrow, within 2 weeks, your job's going to replace you anyway. So it's, I know sometimes the way the cookie crumbles, it might be a little stressful, or, but I've learned from all the years from turning wrenches and then from doing this, it all averages out to be the same. So,
I had something I was going to say earlier to tie two things in, and I forgot the second part, but now I just got a second one. The curtain behind Justin reminds me of the carpet in The Shining when Danny is playing the orange and black. So for his shining curtain, all I can say to you, Brian, is all work and no play makes Brian a dull boy. So there we go. There's my segue, my shining.
All right. Those curtains finally came in handy.
My one daughter, she knows I'm a Shining fan. I turned her on to the movie, and we go into deep dives with this stuff. So she got me the key fob from room 237. It's like it's a plastic key fob that was hanging in the door. I'm like, that's pretty cool. And I got like a a fleece like blanket I use in the winter. That's the carpet. It's the pattern of the carpet.
Oh yeah. Wow.
Fun stuff.
It's, that's digging deep in that stuff.
Oh, we go super deep. There's all sorts of theories, conspiracy theories, and alternate theories about that movie and Kubrick himself. I mean, we could go on for hours. And there's guys on YouTube I follow who do go on for hours about Kubrick was a master, but I mean, so far over everybody's head. Like, he didn't just put Easter eggs like other guys do. His Easter egg things are so cryptic. I don't know how anybody figures them out. You know,
yeah. Well, I mean, again, it's very, it's you know, when you think back, and it's like, and you could, I mean, anything, you know, how they laid the roads out, how they laid this out, how they did the, you know, it's like, who in the world thought of that? And how many pot brownies did you have to eat to even come up with that idea?
Oh, he's above and beyond all of that. Yeah. Ridiculous.
Yeah. And it's like I said, it's just mind boggling. I mean,
I get it with The Shining because it's kind of an eerie kind of movie, and I get it with 2001 because that was way ahead of its time. But Full Metal Jacket, that's another one. This one guy, Rob Ager, that I watch, deep dove into Full Metal Jacket with symbolism, and I'm like, holy shit! I never had any clue that all that stuff was in there. That he, oh my god! So anyway. You know,
like I said, and it's just like that guy tonight, Robert, was laying that car. I mean, that car is tastefully done, and it's like you said, it just kind of how it flowed out and laid out. That, you know, I don't understand how. I mean, I couldn't get that lucky. I don't think.
I'll tell you the truth. When I first saw the post that Lewis made on YouTube to advertise, it was like I guess an older picture of the car, and he said, Vino Rat Rod. I'm like, okay, another Rat Rod guy. Like, all right, maybe, so I know some Rat Rod guys. I'm thinking, all right, maybe he's got some cool ideas, but I didn't have a lot of hope. I really didn't. And I never met Robert, so it had nothing against him because I didn't know the man personally. But then as I started watching and seeing what he did, that's where I realized this is not a Rat Rod. This is a custom build that rivals anything from back in the day.
Right. Well, I mean, it's just like you said. It's like making the top. I mean, the pieces for the convertible top.
Yeah.
When he sees something and says, "Oh, I can incorporate or make that work." Again, it's very similar to which one, Barris, that took the knobs off the kitchen.
Kitchen cabinets, put them on the grill.
Yeah, and did that, and like I said, I just having that kind of creativity, is really.
He's above and beyond my pay grade. I'll tell you, I was talking to these guys at lunch today. I was talking about that air cleaner that I made, and I showed them pictures. And I said, there was another thing. We were talking about making stuff fit. And that air cleaner was for my Fiat. But also, the car has a kind of the steering wheel is just too big, I think, for the car. I don't know. It's manual steering, but still. So I was at a swap meet one year, same Englishtown swap meet, and I found a smaller, maybe a 13-inch 3-spoke wheel. Very plain kind of wheel, no billet or nothing. And I said to the guy, how much you want for this? And I got it for $5. And then I noticed it had the screw holes. It's the flat center plate with the recessed flathead screws, and there were 5 screws. And I said, wait a minute, now does my car have 6 or 5? I couldn't remember. So for $5, I took a chance. Mm-hmm. I got home and I looked, and of course my car had 6, not 5. So I pulled my wheel off. I put this one on. I found one hole that lined up, and none of the others lined up. So I was like, okay, now what am I going to do? Well, I used blue layout fluid on the hub, put the wheel back, one screw, and then I just kind of marked the other holes, and they all fell in between other holes with enough meat that I was able to drill and tap the holes. So, the beauty of it is, and I put the horn button right in the middle. It fit, the stock horn button fit. And the beauty of it is, only one guy ever said to me, he's like, hey, that's not the stock wheel, is it? I'm like, no, it's not. I'm like, what did you notice? He goes, well, it's smaller. He goes, and it's got 5 screws. That's this guy knew his car.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because how did you do it? So I pulled the horn button out, and then you could see some of the blue dicum. I explained it to him. He says, wow. He goes, I would have never thought to do that.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of the hobby. You hang around guys. And I worked as a machinist years ago. So I don't think anything of drilling, tapping, cutting, milling, make it fit. I said, and I had $5 invested. All I was going to invest was another hour or so of my time.
Yeah.
I said, so, that's why I love seeing stuff like what Robert did, because now, he sees things that maybe I wouldn't have seen or you guys wouldn't have seen. And, and then he made it work, which is, that's the cherry.
I hope one day I have that. Maybe I don't make my brownies strong enough, but
yeah.
But it's like I'm really bad, as you could tell. I walk by something and say, "Man, I could probably use that for something." And again, I bring it home and I'm like, I got to find something to use that for or whatever.
Again, speaking of that, I'm talking with these guys at lunch, and the one guy, he was saying, "So, what are you going to do now?" I said, "Well, look, I'm available for for freelance work. I can get work at the shop. I told the buddy at the other shop, I'm available." And he's got a friend that has a shop, and this guy builds some crazy. He's got a Corvette that's off the hook. I mean, he built it, races it, street races it, blows it up, and then just makes that component stronger. So it was like his half shafts. He ended up with like 4-inch half shafts in his car because he broke every consecutive size, and he just had custom made half shafts with yoke, and that's the only thing that stayed in the car. So he just keeps whatever breaks, he just makes it stronger, and it's a beautiful. So, but he was telling me, because he'd love to have you work for him a couple of days a week or however you want to work. He says the only problem is, like, him and his brother, they work in the shop together. He says, and they smoke pot all day. He's like, I was in there one day, and this guy's like, he's a retired cop, so they're doing this in front of me. He goes, they opened the bottom drawer of the toolbox one day. He goes, and they had like 3 pounds of pot in the drawer. I'm like, whoa. He's like, yeah. He goes, I don't know if you want to work in that environment. I'm like, I don't think I could work in that environment. Yeah. It's like I'd either get nothing done or I'd be making sculptures out of everything. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. Coming home, eating a lot of ham sandwiches or whatever.
Yeah, 400 pounds by Friday.
Yeah. You'll be they'll wonder why you got you'll have the Cheeto dust all over your finger. You're eating Cheetos or Doritos on the way home the whole time.
Making a deal with the lunch truck. Listen, you got to come like 4 times a day.
Got a tab to open down at the deli.
Actually, I'll tell you something. Back in the 70s, when I was working in a machine shop, we had a lunch truck that came around, and the guy, he was your typical hippie, had the beard, the brown tinted aviator glasses, the floppy fisherman's hat. He always wore like it was one of those. It was like a Vietnam era jungle coat with all the big pockets and all, and bell bottoms. And once you got to know the guy, the right side of the truck was all the the sandwiches and the cookies, and the back, of course, was the coffee. And I always wondered, why doesn't he ever go around the other side of the truck? Only for when he talks to certain people. To the left side, he had all the pot that he was selling. Pot and hash. It was on the left side of the truck. I was like, oh my God. This is, but he had an air horn that played La Cucaracha. It was like 8 trumpets. And he ended up giving that to me. I put it in my 65 Chevy. Actually, Cucaracha. I had no shame. Nice.
That's awesome.
So what's new at the shop, Justin? What are you guys working on?
A lot of stuff, man. We're trying to ship them out. Personal projects and shop projects.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
We got, 3 of our own personal vehicles in the shop. 4 of them, I think.
Which ones? What are those?
My shop manager, he's got a Silverado. We just put a supercharger on.
Nice.
And then bent a rod, so that's coming back apart.
Oof.
Fun stuff. Another one of our guys, his El Camino's in. We're replacing a couple axles. My boss's Fairlane we've been working on. And then my Lincoln's in the shop now, too, replacing a gas tank.
Nice.
Wow.
So,
how did you diagnose the bent rod?
Made a noise, and so his 2 thoughts were either rod bearing or cracked flex plate. He used to work at a GM dealership, and so they did a lot of. He's like, I've heard stuff a lot similar like this, and it's been flex plates. But we pulled it apart. Flex plate was fine, so we pulled the pan off, and yeah, sure enough, like you'd get to a point and like one of the rods, like rolling it over is really sticky.
Right.
So we started pulling caps apart and checking stuff out, and then we looked, and yeah, one of the rods was bent.
Yeah.
Just enough.
Wow.
Yeah.
That sucks.
I had a 944, and the guy had gone through a puddle and it sucked up water, and he said it stopped for a minute and it stalled out, and I cranked it over, and it took a minute, but it finally started. That's what he tells me, And he goes, now I got this little noise.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, yeah, well, that's a bad rod there, and it's only going to get worse. And
that's not good.
That's not good.
No.
And he's like, oh, well, of course, it was the typical what every customer tells you. Just get it running because I want to sell it.
Right.
Of course.
So I said, okay. And so about 2 weeks later, it comes in on the hook. And I said, I thought you were going to get rid of this. And he's like, I didn't have time. Do you think, what's going on? And of course, you open the hood and got the little flashlight, look down in the corner. I said, see right there? That's not normal.
Yeah.
With Mr. Rod sticking out of the side, that hole is not a sight glass. That's not,
Right.
So, that was pretty interesting.
Oops.
That actually turned into a pretty good cluster.
Oh, yeah.
And got Pat Goss involved into that. Okay. And I had because the guy still couldn't believe, the water could get into the motor, that type of thing. So I had it was especially I had a service manager, and he's like, are you sure about this? And I was like, yeah, it's it sucked it up. And so of course the service manager takes the air cleaner and walks over to the faucet and turns it on and sticks the air filter under. And of course the water runs down and off to the side, and he goes, I don't see it going through. So, how is this possible? And I'm like, okay, come over here. And I had another car running, and I take the air box off, the bottom of it. And I said, feel the air going through. It's like a vacuum cleaner. That engine's a pump, it's sucking air. And so a couple more weeks went by, and all of a sudden here comes Pat Goss and 4 or 5 other people, and the insurance company, and 2 lawyers. And I don't know, it was a whole Mickey Mouse show. And they said, well, you got to prove this or show how it did. And I said, all right. I said, Mr. Goss, I said, that shop vac over there could be a small block Chevy, right? And he's, yeah. I said, motor, engine like that's just like a, air pump. It's sucking air in and pushing air out, right? And he's like, yeah. So I hooked up the air intake, with the air box and the filter, and basically from the throttle body to the, air cleaner. Had a 5-gallon bucket of water there. And I said, well, if you drove through a puddle, and I dipped it down when it was running, and of course it sucks in and goes through, and he gave the thumbs up and walked out.
Well, who was he? Was he like the regional service, the regional rep?
Pat Goss?
Yeah.
Oh no! Pat Goss used to be he was on Motor Trend. He was on not Motor Trend but Motor Week. He was national. He started out. He was like one of the first guys that got hooked up with BG products and was snake oil salesman. And he had a national radio show that what was that called? Motor. No. What was it? Well, it was a Pat Goss show, but it was about. It was very similar to your show about working on cars and having.
Except he had except he had big money sponsors and made money doing it.
Yeah, well, he was a character. I mean, nothing against. I mean, he just passed. Actually, he just passed. I don't know, a couple months ago. But
Really?
he was.
So how is it that you were talking to him about this car?
Well, the insurance company got involved.
It was his car?
No. The insurance, no, it wasn't his. But I guess the guy was trying to. He was trying to make an insurance claim.
Yeah.
For it, and the insurance company was trying to get out of it, I guess.
Of course.
Because, they were, because it was he went through a puddle on the road while he was driving. So I guess he thought the insurance company should pay for it. And the insurance company,
They paid for mine when I did it.
Yeah. So they fought. And of course, I guess they thought that they had the money to get somebody to shoot me down, I guess, or, somebody to intimidate me or whatever about here's this national radio guy that owns 3 or 4 shops and is, Mr. Know-it-all. So once I proved the point and how it happened, it was pretty much done deal. So
except Brian said, "You don't know who I am. I'm the guest star contributor to Plane and Traffic and Motor Mouth Radio, Mr. Goss."
About to learn.
Get out of here. He was I had a couple run-ins with him. He was always the like I said, he was a pretty big wig, and he would people would, he was a hired gun, if you had the money, he'd come, I guess,
Okay.
I give him credit because, like I said, he's one of the first guys I know there's nothing wrong with BG products. Actually, I think they're really good products, but, being a snake oil salesman and, there's
weight and credibility in the industry. So that's a good guy to have as your rep.
Yeah. He was like I said, he had a lot of backing, he had a lot of Corvette stuff and, all that stuff, like I said, I'll give him 2 points for knowing how to work the system and making money. Some people do it and don't make any money, right? Right. It's a secondary thing and they're waiting for their big break, but he was pretty good at it.
So I don't know if you heard me talking to Lewis in the beginning. I got my break and I ended up getting this dual throttle body set up.
Yeah, I heard. Yeah.
And I asked my buddy too. I said, "You got to ask me the key question now. Are they silver, that aluminized, that goldish color, or black?" I said, "Because there's one answer I want to hear." He says, "Oh, I think they're silver." I was like, no. He goes, "Well, but there's black too." I'm like, "Oh, good." And he sent me a picture. It's the black bodies is just a silver ring, and the black ones.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, your everything you have, yours is all black, right? You don't have. You don't have the Twinkle Toe Star Mist Blue or the
baby shit blue from the year that I should have.
Corporate blue. Was that corporate blue or whatever? Or
the early Pontiacs used the baby shit. It was like newborn baby blue. It was literally baby blue, which I think is the stupidest color for an engine. And then I guess it was 67 or 68. And my engine is a 68. Then they went to that metallic blue, which is not a bad color.
Yeah.
But still, I always I kind of like black. And this way I got I got my fin valve covers and just highlighted the fins. And then, I always use chrome acorn nuts and chrome locks and chrome flat washers on the carburetors. So the little bit of bright you put on there, now it'll pop.
It's hard to beat black. I've done a couple that built a 427 a little while ago for a 70 Chevelle. Same deal. Blacked everything out. Looks super nice. Or that 509 in the Impala.
Right.
Just black and sinister.
Because a little bit of, even if you put aluminum on there or kind of anything else, that'll really it'll set it off. I like it.
Yeah, I it's funny because I cannot get away from the old Ford Blue, and it was funny on my F-350, which is a white truck, it's white. And when I replaced the rotors and I pulled the calipers off and cleaned them up, and I ended up painting them like with the caliper red color, and put them in. And I was like, God, I really can't stand that, and took it all back apart and put the blue. I did the high temp primer on it, and then painted them old Ford Blue and put them in. And I can't get away from that that color, and I'm afraid that
color.
Huh?
It's a good color.
Yeah, I'm afraid that if I ever get to my Mustang, I have the calipers that I had sanded or ground all the castings off of, they're smooth, and got them all cleaned up and primered, and I kept saying I was going to do them some color, but I think they're going to end up old Ford Blue. I can't stay away.
I bought the Willwood calipers for the front of my car, and I specified what I wanted. Of course, they came in red. I was like, I don't want red calipers. So I got in touch with the guy that I was dealing with, and I said, look, these were supposed to be black. Oh, didn't we send black? No, you sent red.
Yeah.
We had them one time shipped we had Willwoods all around, and I think the front set was black and the back set was red.
Wow.
Yeah, we're not doing that.
I got a question about Willwood, but anyway, I said, listen, I want to exchange these for black. He's like, oh, well, did you put them on the car? I'm like, nope, they're still in the boxes. They're brand new. I just want to do an exchange. He's like, all right, well, what we got to do is I'll send you the black ones, but I got to bill you for them. And then when we get the red ones, once we inspect them, we'll give you I'm like, all right, listen, they're in the box. I didn't mount them. They're not even scratched, and that's what I had to do. I'm like, if that's what we got to do, that's what we got to do. But I want black. Now, my next question to them was, why the hell do you guys use such a tiny, tiny brake bleeder and put it in an adapter when I think a regular size brake bleeder would work? And they had no answer for me, because it's like none of the brake bleed hoses fit on this thing. It's so small, and I think it's like an 1/8 wrench.
Yeah, it's pretty small.
Why do they do that? They don't even know why they do it, apparently. Stupid.
Yeah, I was.
I'll agree.
Hold on.
I think the black looked better.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's, I think, probably 90% of them that we do are black.
But no, a
Had
lot
a
of guys
few
like
reds.
red. I get that. And guys who do color coding for their car, I get that.
We had a set powder coated yellow.
Oh yeah.
For a Corvette, 69 Vet that was yellow.
Okay.
That turned out all right.
I've seen that on certain cars where they'll match the car, and that's not bad.
I've only ever painted one set, and I hated every second of it. We had a Hellcat with orange calipers, and he wanted them yellow.
Oh God!
And I prepped and painted these things, and I think half the paint was off them before the car left the parking lot.
Wow! Yeah.
He was happy with it, but I was just like, these are not going to last.
Yeah.
So I started on this one. See, I took all the casting, and like on the other one, I'll shave everything except for the Ford logo.
Right there.
I'll leave that, but I'll clean all the numbers and everything.
The custom brake calipers.
Nice.
Yeah. These are for the rear. These were off of a Lincoln for Sile.
Right.
Okay.
And what I want to do, and I don't know, because I know I guess, but I want to fill. Well, let me get back over. I want to fill this in with a plate so that I can put the name of the car on it.
And what's the name of the car?
A Strutter.
Okay. Oh. Little Kiss tribute there.
Nice.
It's actually a good song. That's what
It is.
I'm not a big Kiss fan, but that's a good song.
Yeah, that's
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I've been working on.
70s
But
throwback. Nice.
yeah.
70s throwback. So how you gonna
Maybe
fill that
she'll
in,
let you cruise along. You know what I'm saying? If you listen to the song, there's a few
Right.
hitters in there. You
But
know.
how are you gonna fill that in?
Well, that's what I've been trying to figure because I know. I mean, you know, of course, everybody says, "Well, just put dual piston calipers on it," you know, and I'll have that
You don't
on
need
the
that
body.
for the rear, though.
But I really don't need that for the
No.
rear. And I have, I mean, like I said, this is more than an actually, well, it's so, like I said, I don't know, but I got to figure out how I can, cause with this, cast, I mean, I don't know,
I mean, you could weld it with a high nickel rod, and then smooth it out.
yeah.
You need another piece of cast iron, though.
Yeah. So that's my work
Well,
on.
I gotta say, Brian, when you pick a problem that'll slow you down for months and years, you pick a good one. That's gonna keep you thinking for a long time.
I'll like I said, I did the other one. I mean, I haven't done the fill-in yet, but you know, I figured between, I don't know, I'll figure it out.
Yeah. Justin, have you
Come up
named
with
any of your cars?
I'm still thinking of a name for the Lincoln. I haven't come up with one yet.
The stinking Lincoln.
The stinking Lincoln.
Yeah,
I named my car after a song also. TK65, which stands for Thunder Kiss 65.
oh,
Nice.
White Zombie.
yeah.
We done it a lot named Derby cars.
Okay.
I've had a handful of Derby cars with names on them, but I haven't come up with the name for the Lincoln yet.
Yeah. Originally, the Mustang, and my mom named it, but it was Susie.
Oh.
So, and that's, I mean, that's always been the name. The Strutter part has always been the dark side of her. So,
Susie Strutter. She's got a first
Nice.
and last name.
I've had that name. I mean, I've had that in my head for years and years, and I guess it wasn't until what's that show? Outlaw, you know, Street Outlaws, you know, the Street Outlaw. And it was funny because I noticed a few guys like, you know, Kyle Kelly had, you know, Shocker on his hat or whatever. And I said, well, I think it's time for me to reveal.
Yeah.
And I've got a couple, I have a couple business cards made up with the silhouette of the fastback and with the engraved, you know, with the name in it and so forth. So hopefully nobody steals my idea now, but that's there. And
You know, go ahead.
huh?
What we got? I mean,
It's just like you said, the names I've named, you know, I've had names for all of them. So, you know, that's just, hopefully I, like I said, when I was doing the brakes, I saw, a buddy of mine's got he was doing labels, or he does, you know, put them on brake calipers. So I figured the fronts will be 4-disc, you know, and on the rear. And I said it would drive me crazy having it on the front, but not on the rear. So that's why I would really like to figure out how I could fill that in, that area.
There's a way. I'm sure there is.
And of course, like I said, nobody does anything as hard as I do. So
yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I should call Lou and ask him, because he welds all kinds of shit.
Well, yeah, you could weld the cast with a high nickel rod. You just got to get a hunk of cast iron that you can form to fit in there. And there's not a lot of cast iron stuff around anymore.
Maybe if I find another one and I can cut the chunk out of it and put it next to it.
Why do they have that half moon out of there anyway?
Well, I think. Well,
That's the front side, the facing side of the caliper. And, you know, I
yeah.
thought about that in the past. Like, I wonder why I've wondered why they did that, and I don't know.
I don't think, because the clips are only on the side. This one had the bands that went through it, I think.
No, GM calipers the same way.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess weight.
Maybe because they don't need all that weight. Yeah.
You know, I guess whatever little bit of weight. Because
Yeah,
I want to tell you something.
You got to go to the caliper factory and find the punch outs on the floor. There's probably barrels of them laying around. I just need 2.
They probably are.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But the guy we were talking about it was funny because the motor that was in the 66, a buddy of mine was building a motor. And he was living in an apartment complex, so he couldn't have the car unmovable, you know. So he's like, "Hey, can I borrow your motor while I'm building my motor?" I was like, "Yeah, it's just sitting here." So, you know, came by, picked it up, and I guess Brianna was like 3 or 4, I guess. You know, when he picked the motor up.
Yeah. And
I got the motor back when Brianna was 18.
Wow.
And so it was kind of funny because I finally went over there and with the tool truck, and he had it sitting at his brother's shop. You know, it was sitting over in the corner, and he goes, "Yeah, your motor's over there." And I was like, "Why is it black?" And he's like, "Oh, well, you know, I had this little problem and it had to be rebuilt. And, you know, I really hate that blue. So it's black." Yeah. And I'm like, okay, I hate the black. So it's sitting under here it's still sitting here in black. I keep saying
a base coat. That's all.
Yeah. So I keep saying when the time comes,
breaking out the blue.
Break out my old Ford Blue. So
right.
But it was kind of funny. But my wife said, "Who lets somebody borrow a motor?" I mean, that's like, you know. And I was like, "Well, it's, you know, it didn't really bother me." So if somebody needed it, like I said, you couldn't leave it without a motor in it.
Right. I can't believe I can't remember. 3 times this week I was in the garage doing something, and I said, I got to ask Brian about that on Thursday night. And now I can't remember what it was. And every time I was out there, I thought that. I'm like, what the hell is that?
It's terrible.
Yeah, I know. I should write it down.
All that free time? Come on, right?
I'm telling you. Jesus, what the hell was it? Well, I was going to ask you it was about something we talked about in the past. I want to see if you got information on it. Now, what the hell was it? I don't remember. I don't know.
I don't know. I hope I wrote notes.
No, I don't know.
It'll come to you.
I'll write it down.
It'll come to him about 3 a.m. Don't worry.
Right. Yeah.
Nowhere near pen or paper.
Yeah.
Well, no, I keep pen and paper right in my drawer in my night table next to me, because I get up and I will write stuff down. And it's funny because I don't turn the light on, so you write it. You think you're writing it straight, and God forbid you got to write 2 or 3 lines, and then you look at it the next day like, what drunk wrote this? It's like,
don't even know what this is.
Holy shit! What the hell is that? You think that the letters are the same size and they're going the same way? Like, oh boy,
what is that?
Nope. Nope.
That's like 60-something Thunderbird on emergency, and the guy was putting a motor in, and the motor fell on him, and so he's trapped in the.
And they lifted out with off the beam, off the 2x4 beam.
Yeah. I just caught my I
don't even have TV on. I'll tell you what happened. I know. They had a couple where cars fell on guys. There was another one where I think it was a Mustang. These guys stole a couple cars and it fell on the guy in the garage and it like laid on his chest for like 18 hours and he lived like. And they used it like
Wow.
that porta power. How about the jack? They had to have a jack. Use the jack.
So I'm at the Honda dealership.
Okay.
And I'm on the truck. I got the door open. I see a tow truck pull in. And it's got a Honda. I don't know. Accord, I guess, or Accord. I don't know. Whatever. And so the guy jumps out of the truck and it's sitting on the truck.
Uh-huh.
And he hits the old PTO and powers everything up. And he takes the chain off. And he goes to lift the back. It's got a broken axle. And the car takes off. So the other guy, one of the techs there, because he had just came out to see about the broken axle. And right when the guy takes the chain off, he's like, wait a minute. And that thing takes off. So the guy tries to slam bring down the lift gate. I mean, the ramp. But the car just rolls right on off. Yeah. And luckily it didn't go through the waiting room because it came and he had picked he picked it and moved the bed back, but it ripped the whole front end, the AC the condenser, the radiator. I mean, it ripped everything out of it. And I was like, holy cow. Did that just happen?
Well, call the insurance company. We need a supplemental on this claim.
Yeah, well.
There's a little more damage than we saw the first time.
I was like, man, he's really lucky, or I don't even know if it bent that car. Because I mean, it was off the back of a tow truck.
Yeah,
it fell. I mean, that kind of angle is not I mean, that's like Dukes of Hazzard jumping. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's not good. Wow, that's a cool sight to see.
Yeah, so that was pretty interesting. I've seen cars fall off lifts. I've, seen some cars balancing on a tow truck that's kind of iffy, but I've seen a toolbox come off of a tow truck.
Wow.
That's a mess. That's a mess and a half right there.
Yeah.
And you thought about losing a 10 millimeter socket. I mean, dude, you lost a lot of shit.
Matco had one of the best promotions I've seen just this week. It was a 10 millimeter deep socket sitting on a bench, and then a magnet comes in from the side.
Oh yeah, that was one of the distributors did that. Yeah,
that was really cool. I watched that 3 or 4 times. I was laughing my ass off.
Yeah, that was
that was funny.
Did that.
Yeah, that was good.
That was So
the lifts they use they use them in the tire shops all the time. It's a perpendicular cylinder with the like with a lift end on it. You got to use it under a car with a chrome, a metal bumper.
Right.
And they use them in the tire shops all the time. Well, I have one of them, and this one was always a little sticky. Like when you want to lower it, you have to raise it a little, get it off the mechanical stop, bleed the air, and then you had to pay attention because it would drop and go like this, and then it would lower slow. So you had to be ready for it. But I had it down. Well, when I brought my Pontiac here and I was taking it apart, first thing I put it under the back of that car and I ran it all the way up. It's 4.5 feet. And the lift wouldn't come down. All the air is bled off of it.
Oh.
And the car's not dropping. And I'm like, huh? And now I'm like, what do I do? All the air is bled off. I put air in it again and it just wouldn't come down. So I had to use my floor jacks and 4x4s and all sorts of other stuff to pivot, put something under the car, and then successively get the jack out, and now it's hanging on these boards, and just slowly put lower and lower, chocks in there.
Right.
And I got the car, and I was at any minute this thing is just going to fall.
Yeah.
It's going to be ugly. Well, I'll tell you something. That jack is still sitting in my driveway all the way up.
Oh.
I never figured out how to get it down.
Wow.
And I'm like, damn. So yeah,
That's crazy.
I averted something very, very ugly, and I thought for sure it was going to be toast, but luckily it wasn't.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Because I always thought about getting a second jack, and then using one in the back of the car, one in the front, and lift it together, why the airlines together. But I never. And I can't even bring the thing somewhere to be looked at. I got nowhere to move it. The thing is big and heavy, and
big and heavy. Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, funny.
That was, the only other time I had a tow truck thing was when I was working at a gas station and we had to go repo a car, and they said go with old man Jim, and Jim was a character. He was he smoked Pall Malls unfiltered.
Yeah.
And he'd pack them so tight, and he would talk, and this thing with the cigarette would be hanging in his mouth, and the ashes would be all the way out. And every time I worked with him or was around him, I just held my hand like I was going to catch these ashes. It drove me absolutely insane because it would just stay there. But so we get into the tow truck, and we're driving. We had to go down in D.C. to go get this car, and it was a classic Dodge. I don't know if it was a Dart, but it was a Dodge. And he's like, "You ever hooked up a car before?" And I was like, "No." And he's like, and he hands me this hook with a chain on it.
Mm-hmm. And
he goes, "This is what we're going to do." He said, "I'm going to drop you off, and you just throw this hook underneath there and pull. Whatever it gets hooked up on, wrap it on the beam, put it on the beam, but make sure you put the little chain through the lever, and then we'll go down the road here and we'll hook it up, And of course I'm like, why don't we just hook it up right? And he's like, we're repoing a car. This person might have a gun. People like this usually shoot first before ask questions.
Yeah.
And I'm like, great.
Where's my gun?
I mean, I'm an easy target. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm not a little guy, and I'm not that fast. So we roll up down the street, and it was, one of these with cars parked on both sides, in the neighborhood. He's like, "There's the car." So I'm like, "Are you going to stop? Are you going to stop?" And he pushes me out of the truck,
Oh.
So I'm stumble over, throw the chain up, put it on the boom. And I was like, "Okay." And I'm coming around to get back, and he just takes off.
Yeah.
My fat ass is running as fast as I can, So we get about 2-3 blocks down the road, and I'm dead. And so why didn't you stop? Why didn't you let me get in? And he's like, "I don't want to get shot." And I'm like, "What?"
Repoing a car.
But I took out the radiator and everything else. That was a good throw. I mean, that was a pretty good throw underneath there in the pool.
J-hook. And I'll tell you, I learned something when my friend's son, when he was picking my car up to bring to the body shop years ago, he had it on the flatbed, and I had already done. I had the rear end all rebuilt and painted and in. And I had the front suspension all done, with my Global West stuff and all the nice, And his dad told him the front and the back of that car, even though the body is not done, the underside is all done. So don't go hooking that car when you secure it to the truck.
Yeah.
Because Ray will kill you. So I watched him, and it was so obvious, but I never really thought of it. He used those little knurly knobby things on the chains, and he stuck them in the chassis and pulled them. I'm like, "Is that what those holes are for?"
Yeah.
He's like, "Yeah, that's exactly what they're for." I'm like, "I never knew that." I'm like, "That's great."
Yeah, we had. I watched. I pulled in to a shop, and the guy was moving out, and he had a 3-bay Snap-on box with a hutch,
Right.
And I said, "Hey, your hutch is bolted down, right?" And he goes, "Yeah." And I had told him, he asked me, he goes, "Well, do you move toolboxes?" And I said, "Yeah, I move them, $150." And he's like, "Oh, well, I got a buddy with a tow truck." And I'm like, "Okay." So, of course, it happened. I showed up when they were there. And so he threw, he had hooked into the casters and pulled the box up and had it there. So he decided to throw 3 straps over the top of the box. And he had tightened the sides. And of course, he put one over the middle. And because Snap-on doesn't have the middle wheel.
Middle wheels.
So he's cranking. And I said, "You might want to hold up." And all of a sudden, you see the top. And the box and everything kind of goes down.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Well, there
it'll
goes that
spring back
toolbox."
up. It'll spring back up when I let the straps off.
Yeah. And that was pretty much.
So
He looked at me, and I said, "I bet you're doing this without your boss knowing about this too."
Yeah, right.
Good luck getting the insurance to pay for that box.
Right. None of those drawers are going to open now.
No, it was messed up.
Oh God.
And then it was funny because I was at one shop, and a new guy just got there, and the guy turns the toolbox. I mean, the tow truck. He turned it around, and they went. He took the straps off of it, and he's getting ready to lower. They were going to push the box down instead of using the chain on the, And of course, the one casters were turned. They had it loaded up backwards, where the turn wheels were down low,
Right.
And as soon as he took that off, the casters kicked, and the box tumbled. And what a mess, dude!
Boy.
And
toolbox fiascos.
Yeah. So the funny part about it was, I guess to a point, was so it mangled up. It was a Snap-on box, and it mangled up all the drawers. Of course, the drawers came open, and it mangled up all the drawers. And Snap-on guy came in, and he asked about it, and the guy laughed at him, laughed about it. And then, of course, I pulled in about 2 minutes later, and I was like, "Holy shit, what happened?" He told me, he goes, "Man, it's really bad." And he goes, "Well, this asshole's laughing at me." And I was like, "Oh, well," I said, "It really sucks." And he goes, "You got a toolbox on the truck?" And I said, "Yeah." So he bought a toolbox.
The Snap-on guy said to him in his best Ren and Stimpy voice, "You idiot."
Yeah, he was like, "Well, wait a minute." And I'm like unloading this box. And so the guy was just picking all his stuff up in the middle of the parking lot. And
see a Snap-on toolbox sticking out of a dumpster in the back.
Well, the funny part was it was a small. Actually, I still have the toolbox.
Do you?
Yeah, because what happened was
everything, don't you?
Well, actually, I took the box.
A planter out of it?
No. I took the box and I took the drawers out of it. I took the drawers out of it, so I had the casing, and I put in 1, 2, 3, 4 drawers that slide out, and that's where I keep my welders in. And I put a vise on top of it, and it's like my little welding table.
Repurposed it.
And so it was funny because he goes, I said, I'll even give you $200 for your toolbox.
Wow.
And he was like, for trade-in, and so he was like, because he asked the Snap-on guy if he'd give him anything for trade-in, and then he even started laughing more. So I said, "I'll give you $200."
I'll give you nothing.
So yeah, it was one of those neon green or Kawasaki green,
Yeah.
colors back in the day or whatever.
Right.
And so, like I said, it was a good. The cabinet held up pretty good. It's just that everything got mangled. I mean, the drawers and everything that came open, it just got mangled up.
Right.
And the top, it had a top on it that was it really got fucked up. But so I ended up, like I said, putting my welding stuff in it. It worked out. So
Heck yeah.
can't beat it. But it was funny.
Yeah. If you're you, not if you're him.
Yeah, I know. Well,
Or the Snap-on guy. Wasn't funny for him either.
no, and actually, ironically, he used to be my Snap-on guy, and I guess he figured I like kind of turning the screws on Robert a little bit, because I guess he figures that I'm not a threat or whatever, but it's kind of, I'll get my jab in every once in a while. So
Sure.
But it's crazy.
Wow. Yeah, that's cool stuff.
Oh well. So, but other than that, not much. Had just trying to plug along. Hopefully it picks up a little more. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's been quiet. It's the only thing that bothers me, how quiet it's been.
I was trying to get my the guy that I used to clean my fuel injectors. I was trying to get him on the show this week.
Oh yeah.
But he's busy with Father's Day. He's got a lot. He said they always do a big thing, so he's going to come on the following week.
Oh, that's right. It's Father's Day this week.
He's got a nice business. He does a lot of boat stuff, a lot of marine. And he told me a lot of the marine guys don't realize. I don't know if he was saying they don't realize they have fuel injectors, or they don't realize the fuel injectors can be cleaned.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's something with the I guess in that water environment or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. You know what? And I was going to put the plugs in my motor today, and I looked at those Champions that I bought. I held them up right side by side to the Bosches. It's a shorter plug. The threaded area and the electrode is shorter, so it's not going to have the same flame front. Now I got to find those. That's what I probably was going to ask you, if you ever turned up Bosch spark plugs.
Yeah.
Talking about that. I got
those had the 2 electrodes, right?
Mine have 2, but I think there is one that has only 1, and that would work. Let me see. I wrote the number down again. It was, I think, X5DC.
Yeah. This one's a little warmer. This one here is a 7, but it's a platinum, see?
Okay, yeah, the ignition probably isn't set up for platinum.
And this is a hotter plug. A 5 is a pretty cold plug for that.
That's what it calls for.
Yeah.
It's a 4-valve engine, which may not mean anything, truthfully.
Because the only thing I might have, if I have any turbo plugs left, if I have any turbo spark plugs, they're going to be 5s. The turbos ran 5s in them, and
Where did that note go? Try this one. That's oil filters.
And I know we had some that were 4 electrodes or 4.
Yes, I had those 2 in my Audi. No, these are XR5DC is the number.
Yeah, these are.
There was another number, like a not Burrow, Baru.
Yeah, the brew. Yeah. Those are.
I've never seen those ever in my life.
Yeah, so those are factory plugs.
Yeah, I've never seen those, but yeah. XR5DCs.
Yeah, these are WR7DP for platinums.
Yeah.
And I can't remember I can't. I don't know. I would have to go back and look, but the WR and what you're saying, the beginnings are telling you what type of plugs.
Right. Yeah, you can read the name of the plug. Yeah, I didn't have a
But
Bosch.
this is, I mean, what I always see how see the thickness of that plug.
Yeah.
I mean that air. Here's the threaded part, and then the center part. Man, that's a hell of a piece of chunk of metal. And then you have the electro.
Yeah, it is.
That's
That's a big barrel too.
That's kind of crazy. I don't.
Yeah.
So I don't have anything else. I don't know. These are because, like I said, if I have any turbo plugs, they're going to be 5s. I have to look in my cabinet.
Yeah, I double checked. That's in the factory service manual. They call that number out. That's so somebody didn't put those in. That was what the factory called for.
Yeah, that's a cold plug.
It's a water cooled engine, so it almost doesn't make sense. And yet it uses 2050 weight oil.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, 20 W50. Yeah.
Yeah, that was
what the hell?
That was back in the day because we ran 2050 and a lot of stuff back in the day, and I'll never forget when the water cooled came out, the Boxster came out. We had the guys that had the 911 that got the Boxster would put 2050 in. And that was like 040 or something, or whatever. I can't remember what the weight was. I think it was 040.
Either way.
So So the problem would be, what would happen is, and we started seeing these cars come in. They're on the hook. They wouldn't start, and you would go out and try to start it, and it sounded like it had no compression.
Yeah.
Because the oil, when it was cold, was so thick that it wouldn't, for the actuators, it wouldn't open the valve. So the valves would get stuck slightly open and have no compression. And the thing that would drive you crazy, by the time that you pushed the car in, you put the car up in the air, and you did all your BS and went through, then the car started.
Yeah.
Because the oil wasn't as thick or having a problem. And you're like, what the hell? What's going on here? And then
warm air up the top of the shop with a car.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it just, every once in a while, sometimes it would never start because once they were, once you had so you drain the oil out and refill it, and it fired up, and boy, did that thing clack and clatter. And oh my God, that was like, that was one of those noises you don't want to hear. The customer don't want to hear.
Speaking of that, I was just reading an old Carcraft, and they did a rebuild on the Pontiac Overhead Cam 6. And I never really had any dealings with those engines, but that design was so cool. And like the one in the Sprint had a quadrajet on it. It actually had a 4-barrel. But the cooler part is they showed the head, and you're looking at the head with no valve cover, and you're seeing rocker arms on pivots and springs. And they said in the caption, like, what's funny about this picture? Like, where are the push rods?
Right.
How is the cam being actuated? And you're like, yeah, there are no push rods. Like, what the hell? The camshaft was housed in the valve cover. It had that like highly humped valve cover, and the camshaft had bearings, and there were journals up there. The cam rode in that cover, and the lobes directly pushed on the push rods from the top. I'm like, whoa, wow, that was a really unbelievable design.
Yeah, that's the way the 44s were, the 4-cylinders, and the V8s were the same way.
But the cool thing was, for the belt, they got Dayton rubber to make the timing belt. It was the first one that was ever used. That was back in '67, and the coolest thing is they said that the more interesting part about that, not that GM sourced it from Dayton, GM holds the patent, and every belt like that's made by Dayton that's sold today, GM gets a piece of it. They get a part of it. I'm like, wow, that was talk about a smart marketing move. But that was old John DeLorean that did that.
Yeah.
Like that motor was really. My friend had a Sprint with the 4-barrel and a 4-speed, back in the day. But and it was pretty quick. But we didn't care about it back then. Now I'd like to build one of them.
Yeah.
So
Well, go on, Justin.
So we had one in the shop a little while ago. Yeah, I think it was just a super nice running setup.
Yeah. And
that's
I
crazy.
never knew that cam was part in the. So you take that valve cover off, and it's got a way. It's heavy. It's you think it's just an aluminum, cover, but no, the camshaft's in there, so it's heavy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, they. It's funny, stuff like that. Like you said, those patents or whatever. Because you figure how many, like from Porsche and Bosch and all those guys that came up with that stuff, and that are used, because between that, it's either German or Japanese,
right?
That type of technology, and that's why it was always funny, because you'd get a guy and he's like, how come my scanner will read, Honda, like for ABS. How come it only certain years it reads Honda, but it won't read them all? And I'm like, well, because they used a GM platform, and before they went to Nipodenza, you know what I'm saying? So that's why your scanner picks that up, will read that, because it's thinking it's GM, it's funny how that stuff, like I said, if it ain't German, it's Japanese, and there's a few American stuff mixed in there, but it's how they all, it's not one person that came, or they didn't come up with it. They had they
sourced it from somewhere else.
Yeah. And
That
was like our the impact guns you got. That technology, so much of that stuff inside was the Ingersoll, and when they lost their after 30 years, when they lost their patent on that, and the company PTP that took over, and actually I met one of the engineers at our show. I was talking to him, and he used to work for Ingersoll. And when we were talking about the trigger design, he goes, well, that's what I came up with that.
Oh, it was his design. Cool.
And, so of course, when his time was done and he went over to the other place, but, that's an awesome gun. But like I said, they took this piece and that piece from this and that, they took the proven parts of that and made it all work. And that's why we have a really great gun.
Yeah. I have a couple old IR guns, the one with the round body.
Yeah.
It's got a long anvil on it. I got a couple old IRs. I don't use them, but.
Yeah. So, but it's funny, because I read there was a book, and it was on, I think it was the history with, it was a history thing. It was a German thing. And I couldn't get over how much of that Bosch stuff was, used, or, how much they came up with, and patents, It must have been like a Wild West. You find something, try to put a patent on it as soon as possible.
Sure.
So.
Yeah. And they're quite a lot. Yeah.
But I don't know. What are we going to show and tell, Justin?
Oh, I don't got nothing.
Oh, man, you got up and ran out. I was like, man, we were placing bets. I had the poker chips out. We were ready to go double down.
Yeah.
Dang, I disappointed, didn't I?
Oh, well, maybe next week.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe next week we'll get Johnny back with us.
Yeah,
Can
that's
stay
great.
awake.
It's good that he finally got home.
Yeah, you got to get out of the house. You can't stay in the house.
Dude, I'm terrible.
Yeah,
I would be crawling the wall.
debilitating. After a while, it's just like, like, what the hell am I doing here? They're not doing
Yeah.
anything. I said, yeah, you have insurance. So they were hitting the slot machine handle every day. Ka-ching,
Yeah.
ka-ching, ka-ching.
Yeah, that's one thing I learned with my dad that drove me crazy because the doctor standing there with the clipboard and he'll ask the questions. Well, how do you how do you feel or whatever it is, and the whole time Dad's talking, he's not paying attention because he's flipping over and he's looking at the insurance, and he'll well, you'll be here for 9 days. He already knew. I mean, they knew where they were, how they were, and what they can get away,
Right.
And sure as shit, that's the way it worked. And
Yep.
It used to drive me crazy.
I feel like getting up out of his bed and kicking your ass. That's how I feel.
Yeah, so I hate talking like that. I hate talking like that, but it's just the truth.
It is the truth. You're right. You're absolutely right.
And so
very true.
Man, it is so funny watching this emergency and seeing them like. Actually, I need to call Tori because when they're fighting a fire, it's the funniest damn thing when they're spraying that water on something. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you ever paid attention, but it's just so funny watching.
And I have a question for Tori and my nephew Rick. I noticed when they wear their Scott packs and go into a fire, the air valve is pointing down.
Yeah.
But when they wear their tank to go in the water, to scoot like down into the valve is facing up.
Yeah.
Why is that? And there's got to be an answer because I know they had tech advisors on the show who were very, who were very precise about having things correct.
The other day they had the one where the car drove off, leaving the gas tank, leaving the plug, leaving the hose in the gas tank.
Oh, right. Yeah, at the gas station. Yeah,
and it ripped. And, of course, gas was all over the place. And, of course, it caught on fire. And I thought it was funny when they were spraying water on it.
Yeah, right. Just going to dissipate it. What do you think about that GMC truck? See, they always talk about how they block out the names.
Yeah.
And now they just blocked out the M in the middle. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Why would they do that?
So it's so funny watching. And I didn't realize that this ran so long because it was from like 72 to 78 or something.
Yeah.
That was
was 7 seasons. Well, the 7th season is the worst because those were the movies that they were contracted for a 7th season, but they decided not to film episodes, so they did these made-for-TV movies.
Right. Yeah.
None of the other cast is in the hospital people are in it, but none of the other firefighters are in it, and I hate them. It's when they get to season 7, I stop watching them.
Yeah, that's like they're like as bad as the early airplane movies, the Airport 77 or whatever. It was so.
Well, one of them they go to the convention in San Francisco, and like now,
they went to Seattle.
Yeah, they're in their cities, and I don't like season 7.
That was terrible. They just restarted them again. Like I said, I really miss my Adam 12.
Oh, I watch it. Yeah, I got that every night at 5 o'clock. I got 2.
Yeah, no, we don't. It's not. We don't have. Actually, it's kind of funny because yesterday's show had Malloy and
there was a couple crossover episodes,
right? And then they had one where they were watching TV and they were watching Adam 12.
It was Gage was watching Adam 12, right? That's right.
And they wanted to know what happened at the end. That was the part of the at the end. They were like, because every time they were trying to watch that episode, they got called out or whatever.
Right.
And I was like, well, shit, you guys see them. I mean, last week they were there, so why didn't you just ask?
Just go talk to them. Yeah, no, it's fun stuff.
That's crazy. I don't know.
There's always a lot. There was one the other day where it's one of the famous ones in trivia lore. It was when Gage got bitten by a snake. They were on a rescue. He had to go back down to get his walkie-talkie, and he got bitten by a rattlesnake. So
Yeah.
he's treating himself on top of the fire truck, started his own IV and everything. But Captain Stanley, when he gets in the cab, he radios back to the base, and he's holding the microphone backwards.
Oh.
So I took a picture of it. I sent it to my nephew. He's a firefighter. I said, "Hey, it looks like Cap needs another lesson in microphone etiquette." He's like, "Yeah, that's hilarious."
Yeah.
Like he's holding it backwards. That was funny.
That's funny. Yeah, between that and watching the old Perry Masons.
Yeah, that's another one. Yeah, and the thing that got me, they're on twice a day, so they're on in the morning, and they're on now at 11:30 at night. But they're out of sync. They're different seasons. So now by me, like in the morning, they just started season 1 again.
Yeah.
And at night, I think they're in season 4. But I saw season 1 version, episode 1 yesterday, and today was 1, 2. But in 9, I know it was last week, and I put it on quick in the morning, and it was a color episode. And I've never, ever seen a color episode of Perry Mason.
Oh, really? Yeah.
I had to go do something. I couldn't stay and watch it, so I figured, good. Now the next day, there'll be color. And the rest of season 9 was all black and white. So I'm like, what the hell? I don't know.
Yeah, it must have been a special or one. That's like watching Combat. I watch Combat,
Tomorrow,
and I like it when it says now in color.
Right. Right.
That's
there was the TV thing where they couldn't show, because it was prime time and they couldn't show the gore. They had one on today, Emergency, with a guy. They responded to the guy. He was in his garage, and he had been like a gun collector, and he was working with an M57 or M97 grenade launcher.
Oh.
And this grenade got lodged in his abdomen. So they showed you like a little round spot on his shirt that was dark, and then I'm like, wait a minute, if a grenade got lodged in his abdomen, and it didn't go off, it didn't blow up, but still, the thing was like the size of bigger than a tennis ball, it was like the size of a coffee mug. I'm like, this guy would be dead,
Yeah.
And they're very careful to lift him up and put him on a stretcher. They don't, because they don't want to work on him inside the garage, because they had all sorts of guns and ammunition. And plus they said, if this thing goes off, we'll all be dead. They're wearing these like really crude, looks like an old catcher's protector. That was a flak jacket they had.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if this thing goes off, you're all dead anyway,
Yeah.
So they're very careful to lift them up and get him on the gurney and carry him outside. 6 guys carry him out so they don't move him. They said, get all the mattresses out of the house. We got to set up an area, in the yard here. And they come out with like 6 mattresses. I'm like, what house has 6 mattresses? What is it, a boarding house? It was like this guy and his wife. So, okay, give him that. And then it ends up, as they start working on him, the guy goes into defib. So Gage is like, talking to Doc, to Dr. Brackett, says, he's in defib. What are we going to do? He's like, we got to shock him. He goes, well, if we shock him, he says, that grenade could go off. And he says, that's a chance we got to take. 400 watt seconds. So they shock the guy, and you see his legs jump, and boom, shock him again, his legs jump. Like, this is the guy they very carefully put on the stretcher and didn't move. But now he's bouncing all over the place.
And the only other thing I can say that drives me absolutely insane, and you can watch it next time, on Squad 51, the Dodge truck.
Yeah.
It drives me absolutely insane that the mirrors are painted red and not chrome.
Really?
Because everything else is chrome. The handle, the truck, and then of course the fire truck next to it. The side mirrors are chrome, but on the squad car here, they're red, the color of the truck, and it looks so funny looking at it.
All right,
going
you
down.
Know what else drives me nuts? Next time you see that squad backed in, look at the running board on Gage's side, on the right side of the truck, and in the front, it's like a big triangular section, and most times you see that triangular section is not painted. It's kind of gray, and on a couple episodes, it's red. So
Red.
they had like 2 trucks. I'm like, first of all, why wouldn't it have been painted anyway? And that drives me nuts.
Yeah, I noticed I kept looking at the truck one night, and I was like, why does the truck look so funny? And then I realized that the side mirrors are
They're red.
red.
You're right.
And I said it looks, they have all the other chrome on it, you know, the chrome around the window,
Got the bar up on top. Yeah, it's got the
yeah,
chrome handle.
and along the side of the truck it has all the handles are chrome, you know.
Right.
And I was like,
Right.
why is it drives me absolutely I don't, you know, like I said,
There was an episode this morning, and Doc Early comes out, and he was I don't know, he was just saying something to him, and then they started the squad, and he said something about, you know, the squad's really running rough. It's really running like it's running like crap, you know. and Doc Early says, "Oh, really? You know, what is that a problem?" And Roy says, "I don't know. It just started a couple days ago." He says, "Oh, really?" He goes, "You want me to take a look at it?" And they says, "Sure." So he goes over, and he opens the hood. He goes, because he says, "It sounds like your points are closed, you know, too far closed." So he opens the hood, and then he goes to the driver's side of the truck, and he leans over the fender on the wheel well, nowhere near the distributor. He says to Johnny, he says, "Hey, Johnny, you got a screwdriver?" "Oh, yeah. Gets him a screwdriver, and he leans over that wheel well, and he does something, and all of a sudden he tells Roy, "Okay, start it up." Starts it up, and it's purring like a kitten.
yeah.
It's like, "Oh, wow." He goes, you know, and they were like, "Gee, Doc, how do you know that?" He goes, "Yeah, you know, it's." So they were giving him credit, and then he had to go in for open heart surgery. But it's like, at least fiddle with the distributor, you know.
Yeah.
Like, you can't tell me that you just took those points and opened them, and you knew how far to open them. And I'm trying to remember. I don't remember on a Chrysler V8. Is it like a GM where you can adjust them through the cap, or do you have to remove the cap, like a 6-cylinder? I know in a slant six you got to remove the cap because
a pain in the ass.
I was trying to figure out how wrong it really was.
Yeah, they had one. They had one the other day where the rig wouldn't start up.
Oh yeah, it kept dying on them.
Yeah, well, they wouldn't start up, and so they went underneath the hood and they did the Ford. Laid the screwdriver across the solenoid to start it, you know, of course, got the thing started, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
You know, so I thought that was.
They'll show you them doing some maintenance in the garage, and they got a little tool cart, and he's got a couple of Craftsman wrenches. Looks like they're like, you know, 7/8, 15/16, and an inch, all big wrenches, you know. And he goes under there on a flat creeper with this big wrench. You know,
I like when they had the adjustable wrench.
Yeah.
He was doing something with the adjustable wrench.
What are you doing? Like, what the hell are you doing? What kind of maintenance are you doing with that wrench? You know, like, what the hell?
And then they have a maintenance guy that comes around. I don't know if you ever, yeah, Charlie, and they all get upset when Charlie can't wait to take the truck apart. You know what I'm saying?
He's got a New York accent. He's like, "Hey, what are you doing to my rig?
Yeah.
Stay away from it. Don't open that hood. You call me if you got a problem. What are you doing? Union guy. What are you doing? Trying to do? Put me out of a job?" "Oh no, Charlie. No, we're not." Because everybody's afraid of Charlie.
Yeah.
I remember he dropped off his speedboat. It was like a checkmate.
Oh yeah, with the blown
the big black Chevy. The guys were thinking about again. They were going to buy it, and everybody on the 2 shifts was going to chip in, and they
yeah.
Same thing with the hot dog stand. Like, that's another idea that didn't work.
Yeah,
we'll take turns. Right.
Yeah, the hamburger stand. They had that empty lot, and they were going to put a hamburger stand also one time.
But there was another one. They had to do an inspection, a fire inspection on this hot dog stand, and it was a rundown. There was like garbage outside, and the guy inside was like, he's eating a hot dog. He's, "Hey, you guys want a hot dog?" I'm like, no. It was a mess. The kitchen had all these violations. There was food all over, and they wrote him up 900 times. They said, "Look, you have to come back." And the guy's like, "Hey, it's going to cost me a lot of money to fix this stuff. Come on, I'll make a fortune. I'm trying to sell the place." Like, trying to sell the place? Because who would buy this place? And I think it was Chet, the troublemaker. Somebody said something about how that place is like, it's a gold mine. It's the best, got the best chili dogs in the world. So John and Roy go back to check on the violations, and they decide to get lunch. And like, wow, this is the best chili dogs we've ever had. So they hatched a scheme to buy the place for cheap because it's such a wreck. All the guys on both shifts would chip in. They could work on it. So this is the thing, right? These guys work 24-hour shifts, usually like 4 days. So on their days off, they'd be working at the hot dog stand, just what they want to do. You know? And they finally get everybody in. I think Stanley was was it Roy was the last one. He wasn't going to do it. He finally throws in and says, "Okay, I'm going to do it." And then I think Stanley comes in and says, "Didn't you guys hear? Like, hear what?" He goes, "The place burned down last shift." He's like, "No!" Yeah,
it's funny.
But those stories, it was probably like Adam 12. Those stories were taken from the real file logs.
Yeah.
Because why reinvent the wheel? Just take it from the real.
Yeah.
Crazy shit happens, you know.
Yeah. Just like Dragnet and all those.
Right.
These names have been changed to protect the.
Exactly.
Classics, man. They don't make them like these.
They don't. They really don't.
And they try to make them. They try to make it, and
of course, I've been a Chips fan forever.
Oh yeah.
You know, and my wife said, "Stop already with the Chips." Like I said, look, I do hum the song when I'm riding my motorcycle. I said, but, and I was thinking one day, like, why do I like these shows so much? What is it? I mean, okay, it's 70s stuff, so it takes me back. You see the old cars. There's that. But there was something else, and I realized one day what it is. It's that slice of life work. These are just guys at work, working with their buddies, and just going through the jobs, and they're regular guys doing jobs, and that's what's so endearing about it. You know, like with Chips, okay, they were cops, so they did the cop thing, but then they always showed them on the personal side, like going on in their lives.
Yeah,
Potch's motorhome broke down, or John. And it was always that slice of life stuff. That's what's so endearing.
The only thing though, or actually it was kind of it was funny, but it wasn't funny. Just thank God nobody really was hurt. But I had a Chips moment on the highway.
Did you?
Okay, and we were coming back from Aerosmith. This was many moons ago. We're coming back from the concert, Aerosmith. It's me and Jenny, and we were dating at the time, and my mom went.
Oh,
so
wow.
She's in the back. Okay. my mom went to all the concerts with.
That's
cool.
She
Pink Floyd,
nice,
Aerosmith, Eagles,
was
Rolling Stones. Huh? No. No. But we went to a lot of concerts, and my mom was right there with all that. So we're driving along, and there was a Ford Bronco 2 pulling a boat.
Right.
Okay. And they're going up. We're up 95. We're all cruising along. Well, the axle breaks on the Bronco, and the wheel comes out, and it's got about that much of the axle hanging out of it. And I'm behind it. So here comes this wheel. It bounces over me and takes out this dude on a motorcycle.
Wow.
Meanwhile, the Bronco now turns sideways, takes up all 3 lanes, and starts barrel rolling.
Oh, my God.
All of this shit is flying out of the Bronco, out of the boat, and it barrel rolls about 4 times, and we're in a pack of cars, and we're just dodging. I mean, I'm dodging, and cars around, and
wow.
So the Bronco lands back up on all 4.
Oh, wow.
Slides off the road.
At least on 3.
Yeah, well, 3. And slides off the road, and we all stop. So I run back to the dude on the motorcycle, and he had his wife on the back, and I run up, and he's like, he's moaning and groaning, and he's laying face down. Well, when he stands up, every bit of clothes fall off of him.
Ugh.
He had slid so much on the concrete, it just ate the clothes off. And he was like prickly bleeding, you know.
Yeah,
Is this, you know.
Sure, road rash.
And actually, his wife got ran over.
Oh,
they ran over her back of her knees.
Oh God!
And she was there. So it was a brand new Goldwing that he was riding, and that bike was destroyed. I mean, there was. So we run over, and the dude in the Bronco had crushed the wheel. He had squeezed the steering wheel so bad, and he was just in shock.
Yeah.
And his wife was next to him, and she had a baby in a car seat, and she was carrying it. It wasn't even strapped in because they had so much stuff piled in the Bronco.
You can't make this stuff up.
Dude, it was an episode of Chips. I even told the state trooper dude pulls in. And of course, you know, there's just shit all over the Beltway, you know, from the stuff from the fishing rods, tackle boxes, sleeping, you name it. It was just all over the place.
Sure.
So he asked me, what I said, well, I was in the Subaru. And I said, man, he goes, well, what happened? I said, dude, it was an episode of Chips. And the state trooper just looked at me. He goes, what? I said, dude, this was just like out of Chips at the very beginning. The Bronco turned sideways. It was barrel rolling. Shit was flying. Everything goes, I'll come back to you in a minute. So turned out the guy had no insurance. He was from New Jersey. And luckily, the one of the best lines in the whole evening was the dude didn't want to leave his motorcycle. He's like, we can't leave the bike, man. I can't leave the bike. And the guy's like, you got to get in the ambulance right now. And he goes, no, I want to take the bike with me. He goes, there's nothing left of the bike, dude.
Right.
He goes, and of course they were like, well, what about your wife? Oh, she's okay. She's all right, but I can't leave the bike.
Yeah. She doesn't need knees. It's okay.
But she turned out okay. I mean, last time, of course, this was a million years ago, but at the time, I did get I guess the guy was going to sue the guy or whatever court, because I did get a phone call from one of the lawyers.
Right.
And luckily, I just was able to tell him what had happened.
Yeah.
But I tell you, when I saw that wheel come out and it had that little bit of that axle, he's lucky. I mean, it went over me, and I watched it. It landed right in the guy's lap. He's riding along.
What were you driving at the time?
Subaru. What was it? Legacy wagon.
Right.
So,
wow.
But it bounced right over, and luckily for me, I had hit the brakes. And I dodged that and hit the brakes. And all of a sudden I saw the motorcycle. He had no rider on. I mean, he was knocked off. She was knocked off. And the motorcycle came up, and I took off, but it just tagged the bumper. It didn't really do any damage. I got out of the way, and it was a mess.
I have two stories like that. One was when my brother and I were driving the Nomad back from Colorado, and I never had ever seen him have two hands on the wheel, and there he was with two hands on the wheel in like a death grip, and I'm like processing like why, and I see he's looking in the rearview mirror, and I turn and look behind me, and I saw one of the rocket mags, the wheel and the axle and the brake drum flying behind us, bounce on the highway and bounce off the highway. And then I look back at him, and he's, and I'm thinking, like, why are we still driving?
Yeah.
We're going like 65 miles an hour. We were going around a long sweeping left-hand curve, and the inertia was keeping the right side of the car up off the ground. And on the Ohio Turnpike there, this all happened like within a second.
Yeah.
2 seconds. I realized like the highway ends, there's a little bit of a drop off, and then it goes to like gravelly dirt, which starts immediately rolling down to a culvert. It's a big drainage ditch off the road. And we just filled up with gas, And I pictured, I calculated it, said, we're going to hit and slide. And at that point, I think the car did drop, and he just like cranks the wheel to the left to try and counter for the skid. No brakes, so single master cylinder.
Yeah, gone.
So we're just sliding. And I said to myself, we're going to hit that edge, and then the car's just going to grab, and we're going to barrel roll down that culvert to the bottom, and we're going to go up in flames. And this is it. We're dead.
Yeah.
I mean, like 2 seconds. And the car stopped. I have pictures of it right at the edge. I mean, the car was hanging over, and you could put a matchbook between the quarter panel, put by the rocker panel and the street and the highway.
Wow.
And that was in that story I wrote about the car. So that was the first one, and then the second one was when we were delivering a car. I was delivering it with the guys from the shop to Virginia, and we were almost at the guy's house. We were on the whatever highway it was. I don't even remember. But my friend's son, guy said, that's the kid who showed me how to hook the chassis with the chassis nubs on the flatbed. He's an excellent driver of anything. And I'm in the front seat. We rented an F-350. So I'm in the passenger seat. Dad was in the back. Son's driving. And we had the Rambler we were bringing down in an enclosed trailer. And again, I see him look in his side view, and something just was wrong. So I forget if I looked over my shoulder or in my side view. I looked in my side view mirror, and what I saw was a wheel rolling down the right lane, like following us.
Yeah.
One of our trailer wheels is what happened. We lost a wheel. And what he did is he calculated, I don't know how, it must have been calculated luck.
Yeah.
Because he kind of knew if that wheel was, loose, it could hit anybody and do all sorts of damage. So he repositioned the truck and the trailer on 3 wheels into the lane, into the path of that lost wheel. And then you heard it, boom, hit the back of the trailer door, and I saw it deflect off into the trees. And then we pulled over. He used the trailer to block the wheel. Again, in like split-second timing. And I got out, I looked, no trailer wheel. I go and I found a wheel like, I don't know, 100 yards back. So I was like, holy shit, how did you do that? So, yeah, those, when wheels let go.
Yeah, it's crazy.
He said, he says, all I pictured was it going to the middle of the divider and riding up on the concrete, on the barrier, and then hitting somebody on the other side.
Yeah.
Because that's what I pictured. Now, because I didn't want that to happen.
Yeah. That's crazy.
But,
we were going down to Daytona, me and Rich, the guy I worked with. We were going to Daytona, and that drive through Georgia is just brutal. It's just 2 lanes on 95, and there's nothing around, and it's just cruising along.
Kind of like Virginia.
Yeah, well, I'm cruising, and I look ahead, and I see this big, shiny object, like, tumble around in the air,
UFO!
And I'm like, what the hell is that? And Rich was snoozing, and I was like, his nickname was Goose. I said, Goose. And he's like, what? I said, what the fuck is that? And he's like, I don't know. And we're cruising up, and it was one of those, what's that name brand? The aluminum,
Alcoa?
No, trailers. Star? No. The all aluminum house trailers. God, what is it? Star? No. What is that thing called? Aerostream.
Oh, yeah, Aerostream, I guess.
Aerostream, right?
Yeah.
So it's this guy. So by the time we got to where all this was, the Aerostream is laying sideways. The pickup truck is still up on its 4 wheels, but the gooseneck has twisted.
Oh, wow.
And there was crap all over 95.
Yeah.
And I'm driving by, and this dude is standing on the Aerostream, like standing there like this. And I'm like, what? And it was like we drive by like at like 10 miles an hour after doing, 90 coming down 95, and I'm just kind of looking and the strangest things you see and just kept on going. I mean, about time I processed everything, it was like, God, I feel really bad. I didn't even stop to see if the guy was okay or anything, It's like, what the hell?
Wow.
That was crazy.
Fun.
We'll have to make a movie.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Write a story.
Write a story.
Gotta write
There you go.
down, man.
Well, we got to get ready to run credit cards.
Yeah, it's time to get going.
Maybe raid the refrigerator.
Yee-hee.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah,
we went out. One of my buddies came up from PA last Saturday, and there were 5 of us. Went out to dinner at a Mexican restaurant.
Yeah.
And so a couple of us had leftovers, and they brought out like 2 of them, and then all of a sudden I'm like, okay, where's mine? And like, it didn't come back. So the kid that was serving us, he wasn't all there. So I knew I couldn't ask him, but I grabbed the waitress and Jackie, because one of my other friends determined her name and status right off the bat. So Jackie, come over here. I said, listen, a while ago, the guy was supposed to bring out my leftovers. I said, I never got them. Can you check and see if they're in the back somewhere? And my buddy Danny was already telling me, forget it. They're gone. They're in the garbage. It's trash. It's too late. I'm like, I know, but man, I was really looking forward to those leftovers, man, because it's good Mexican. So she says, oh my God, really? Oh, I'm so sorry. Let me go check. I'm like, all right, do it. If not, don't worry. She comes back in a few minutes with 2 containers, piping hot. She goes, you know what? They weren't there. I had to make it for you all over again.
Oh, wow.
Whole another dinner. The whole combination, the burrito, the taco, the tostada.
The whole enchilada.
I was like, yes. Yes. Oh, that's good.
That's funny.
Yeah. So I told Danny, I said, see, he goes, you're screwed. Forget it. I said, see what? You got to ask.
Ask.
If she said, sorry, it was in the trash. Okay. I chalk it up to sorry, it's in the trash. I said, but if you ask, sometimes you get, they take care of you.
That was a good deal. That was almost like the Olive Garden take home for $5, right?
Right. The breadsticks, and I like that salad bowl, man. That giant salad bowl. That's good stuff.
Yeah, we
really good.
Well, they have something where, like, if you eat there, even if you take out, but you can get extra for $5, and they have like a separate menu, so you can get like a lasagna, spaghetti, or whatever, shells or whatever, and it's another whole meal for $5 or whatever.
Just for the ride home, right?
Yep, for the ride. Damn right.
Can you give me a plastic fork with that, please? I got it.
I carry one. Don't worry.
There you go. Keep a spork in the glove box.
On the ready.
On the ready. Yeah. I know when to walk in on the shop and with my fork, because So no money today? I guess I got lunch at least,
Who's feeding me? No, we'll pay you.
Oh, that's too much.
My older daughter brings me. They got me, we had a little thing Sunday night. She got me an ice cream cake. That it's cool. That was the
retirement.
Yeah, retirement. No. What did it say? No goodbye tension, hello pension.
Yeah,
cool. But then then she comes by the next day. Her and her fiance, they bring me a dozen jelly donuts from this German bakery. Half of them with sugar, half of them with white powder, half with the sugar. I'm like, a dozen donuts. How am I going to eat a dozen jelly donuts? Like, yeah, have a donut. Yeah. But it was that raspberry filling, and from the bakery, they really fill them.
They look good. I saw that. Oh, they look good.
Oh, they were good. I'm like, holy shit, I'm going to OD on donuts.
I know, you'd be all sugared out.
Yeah, you know what? I can stand it. I can take it.
You can take one for the team, right, Ray?
Yeah, I'll do it. I even shared a few with some people. I said, hey, have a donut on me.
That's funny.
So, great, because you got to eat them. You got to eat them quick because they're so fresh.
Yeah, they don't.
2 days they're stale. You know. So I went right to like the stale edge, and I'm like ripping most of the donut off just to get the jelly. You know, like
Yeah. All over.
jelly in my mouth, like nice. It's
Yeah,
like
that's
a
crazy.
cheap horror movie. All
All
right.
right, guys.
So I guess we've burned another couple hours of playing in traffic for Lewis Lee, and of course for Robert, who was in tonight. Great guest. He was from.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Want to keep up with that build, and of course,
Yeah,
for
very
the
cool.
Warblers, you know they're doing Power Tour now. So we did our Power Tour tonight with Justin from American Gas Hot Rod Shop, and of course Michael Man Brian, ready from Motor Mouth Radio. So if you're crazy enough to stay to the end of this broadcast, even on YouTube, you deserve to know who you're talking to.
Yeah, it's good luck.
Which one of you fellas is going to take us out, or you both want to do it? How are we going to do it?
It's all Justin.
It's all me. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, as everyone says, don't follow us home unless you have a really cool wooden roadster, because we might want to take a look at it.
And you got jelly donuts from the German bakery in the
Yeah. I want to know how he's going to explain to his insurance guy he needs
termite control.
Termite control on that. You know what I'm saying?
Or
That's
he's got to get like a liquor permit to drive, because those wine barrels are all soaked with wine. You know, that'd be cool. Be like having incense in the car. It's like that wine smell.
He said that was tiger oak, right? I gotta look that up. Is that what that was?
Tiger oak is gorgeous. Look it up.
Yeah,
and that stuff is stained. Like I said, my friend's house has it. The floors and the wall. When tiger oak is stained, it is, because it looks like a tiger. It's got that pattern. It's absolutely the most beautiful oak you've ever seen in your life.
I've got a whole bunch because our pallets come oak.
Yeah, it's not tiger oak though.
But the oak, I've made oak shelves, and it's incredible. But I have to look that up because that looked very interesting.
Yeah, oak pallets, definitely not pine. No, for sure. Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah, it's a hell of a pallet.
Yeah. It is.
All right, guys, take care. Be safe.
All right, guys. Let's end this.